Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Downtime in the Hangar where we talk about all things GBO2 and Tangent sometime.
Mm,
Today,
most of the time.
today I'm joined by Gustav the 13th.
Yep.
So, we're doing the two-man thing now. How's it been going, Gustav? How's it been this entire month? Well, I guess
Oh, it's
we covered the
just
Jetta.
been. Yeah, we did cover Jetta. Well, it's been peachy. Just going really hard on clan match stuff. We had a pretty rough drought of lack of top 100 stuff, but we're starting to catch up again. And not only did we get it twice in a week, twice in a row, but we also hit legit 40th. So top
Nice.
40 technically. On the last one, so we're hoping to get on there again for this one, which is gonna be odd, and we'll talk about that a bit more later. But yeah, besides that, we're still going through our current secondary game, which is Fist of the North Star, Lost Paradise. I was doing that in lieu of having the proper stuff for Judgment and Lost Judgment, but within the last month, in fact, within the last week or so, I also got a PS5.
I can see
So
the frames.
we got the frames. I can see it. I can see the data. It's insane. But yeah, definitely gonna be helping. Definitely gonna start doing some of the other stuff for Judgment and Lost Judgment as well. Once we get to that, not to mention SRW30 is fast approaching since it's gonna be at the end of October. So we'll see what happens. What
Um,
about you?
so yeah, real quick, Fist of the North Star. I got that back when they had a sale. I don't know if they ever do their like Japanese game sale again or whatever
I
it
think they
was.
just did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if they just did, then rip. But if they haven't yet, whenever that comes around again, uh, they had Fist of the North Star on there for like $8, like $7.99 or something. It
Yeah.
was super cheap, and I've been wanting to play it for a long time because I'm just like that is exactly the game style that would fit that kind of series. It just perfectly, I think.
Hmm.
Um, and I just noticed we had some hitching there of discords, but anyway. Um, but yeah, other than that, for me, but that's on my list. I definitely am going to do that. That's probably going to be my first Yakuza-like game I play, actually. Which is the
That'd be cool.
same company, so fair enough, right? Technically, kind of there,
Yeah,
sort of.
like it's a little referential, but it's not anything where you're gonna be like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah.
Like you'll recognize the voices when you go to the other games for sure, because like the voice cast is also the same.
Okay, that's great. Um, but anyway, as far as my games and stuff that I've been doing a lot of Tarkov. Maybe a little too much Tarkov.
Really, a lot you say?
Yeah, I don't know anything about just pulling an all-nighter last night and still haven't gotten
Nope.
sleep because things
I should be
happen.
asleep right now.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah, I had sleep planned in the schedule and then but but yeah, other than that though, New World just hit and that's been taking up most of my attention. Uh, Tarkov shooter game, intense game, get loot, all that stuff, it's been a thing that's been around. Loving it though. I am super addicted to it. But New World is a new world for an MMO. Eh. Anyway, um, it's pretty good. It's okay. I mean, it doesn't really bring anything too new to the table. I One of the funniest things I think I found was somebody linked me a like guide to how to level up a thing when I was like, "Yo, I've got this much iron because I've just been grinding that because every time I get in, I'm doing something else. So I can grind iron, I guess. No big deal." And yeah, turns out there was like some kind of guide made for it, and yeah, the just to grind your smithing to max. Um, Instead of just 2,000 iron, it says like 55,000 iron or something.
oh my
If
god.
you wanted to grind it to max in this guide, and I don't know how accurate it is, but there's been a lot of people, you know, putting screenshots of how to max out everything, 1 to 200 and step by step.
Oh yeah,
So if that is
all that evergreen content. Oh boy.
if that is the case, which I mean, crafting and gathering, pretty fun. I kind of like that stuff. The way they've got it set up, it feels very kind of Valheim type thing, right? You run
You
up,
know
you
what?
chop a tree, and get
Speaking
loot.
of that, that's what I thought that game was gonna be when it first got like shown and stuff.
Yeah,
And then very quickly, I realized it's almost too MMO-ish. It kind of kills some of that dynamicness because you're doing all these other quests and shit, and it's like obviously you have like your beginner areas and all this other stuff, as opposed to them being like biomes that just change between like bosses and stuff. So in some ways, it's got a lot more going on. It's more of a game than Valheim is, but it's not quite like the same kind of building experience. The resource gathering is there, that's for sure. I think most of the times that I've logged in and watched you, it's definitely just been you fucking the shit out of trees.
yeah. I've been deforesting like in Valheim, and or iron. But I mean, the good part about that is you actually level up by doing the gathering, which is kind of cool. Like you literally just do what you want and your character levels. So that's actually kind of legit. I don't know if while you craft you actually level, but the gathering part does give you levels, which is really nice. Or you can just do the story missions. Is kind of I think the fastest way to level is just keep getting story stuff, and then you grind up so you can do the next story thing. So kind of cool. Combat wise, I guess is the other big thing. It's they're pushing a lot of the PvP stuff, and I've been
Hmm.
there for Guild Wars 2. I've been there for Elder Scrolls, and the PvP, like Guild Wars 2 was kind of the first one that I think did the massive battles decently well with netcode and everything, in the sense of like you're running and launching everything. The my favorite massive battles is EVE Online, but the thing is they use time dilation and stuff. So, you have 3,000 people in a fight, but 10 seconds turns into
Takes
10
a minute
minutes.
to yeah to catch up.
Yeah, like a lot of minutes to catch up. So, there's that. But in the sense of just everybody, "Rah, storm the castle," I think
Hmm.
Guild Wars was kind of the first one that really, just did that as good as it could get. And Elder Scrolls kind of did the same. They had some good net code to begin with, not so much later, but they kind of spaghetti coded it a little bit where people just came in after kind of thing. But anyway, and they had to relearn how to do everything. So that was interesting finding that out from the devs. But yeah, for this though, I mean it's already been done, so it's like cool. They've got massive 50-50 battles. I think we got one coming up tomorrow. The first, I think we got one at a certain time. We're getting attacked by the Marauders. Sadly, I'm not the green faction, but I am playing with friends. So you know, all we need to do is the green faction to take over the world, and then I can just be the double agent that I am and flip us over
Right.
to the other faction.
A filthy traitor.
I mean, green is the best color, um, but instead we're purple. You
Wah
admit
wah.
that? Oh no, oh no, Cost is listening. Ah, I've been found out. Um, but yeah, so we'll hold the West. Where
Oh
did the
my
West
god.
defense go? Anyway, um, but yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what that entails if I'm on at the right time and stuff and able to log in. So combat
Yeah,
seems
the queue's
pretty decent.
apparently been pretty brutal.
There's a lot of weapons, which is really good. There seems to be good mix of PvP and PvE abilities for just about every weapon, and some different builds and build potentials that just people wouldn't think of. So like I know one build that got thrown online a lot. That there's probably 20 videos. You type it in as spear and bow.
Mm.
And so I just didn't think about doing a spear and a bow combo. For me, I'm doing staff and ice gauntlet. So essentially, Think most Ice Mage stuff where you freeze yourself in a pillar of ice so you're invincible, essentially.
Right.
And this is not
Is there any
completely
like
invincible.
slowdown or anything?
Well, you turn into a giant pillar so you can't move.
Right.
Um.
No. I mean, like
Yeah,
general
yeah,
freeze builds tend
yeah.
to have a lot of slowdown and stuff for when you're actually doing your attacks and shit too.
Yeah, there's a lot of frost area, and I actually move faster in frost areas with one
Nice.
passive thing that I got. So there's a lot of that. It kind of also has some benefits to your abilities through like bonuses from gear, kind of like Outriders did, which is kind of cool. So, and the way the attacks, you can charge up for a heavy attack, which kind of gives you back resource depending on which um, kind of weapon you're using. So that's very Elder Scrolls like. And it really wants you to swap between the two weapons that you're using to combo with things. So if there's any kind of like AoE stuff, probably going to be drop the AoEs, swap to other weapon, do the thing, and deal some damage. Now the thing I'm kind of sad about now, maybe I'm wrong, but um, I'm hoping we're going to get enough points. And from what I could tell from the like beta, you can't use like two fire stabs because whatever one has for skills, the other one will have for skills. So I'm like, man, I want to use not only my fire dots and AoEs under people, but I also want to like set somebody on fire with my flamethrower as a fourth ability. No, I can't do that. So maybe that's the thing that they'll
The more you
implement,
know.
but so yeah, that's a little weird. Anyway, and then so yeah, combat pretty decent. Nothing to really complain about. I did hear that the final like raid at the end is actually difficult. Now,
Mhm.
is that was difficult because people rushed in the beta and they didn't have the best gear possible, or is it actually difficult? And even with the best gear, we're still going to get stomped.
Right. That's the big.
Yeah, and I'm
That'd
hoping
be the
it's the
big
last one.
indicator.
Because and that there's a big cosmetic or a big piece of gear that you can show off to people because all your gear is cosmetic technically.
Mm.
So if you can show that off and they start going in that direction, I think that's good. That's what Final Fantasy does with their like Savage Raids or whatever, where the 8-man ones,
Right.
where everybody has to play perfect, but then you get this shiny sword that everybody knows. Oh, dude, that person's a badass. They had to play perfect for 30 minutes or whatever it is.
Some
So
obnoxious amount of time. Yeah,
yeah,
raids are very involved in like most games. But it does make me wonder like is this raid just like flat out hard if you just don't have the right comp? Or is it just one of those endurance battle kind of raids?
yeah. Now, the good news is it seems that they do have a taunt kind of thing with the shield. I believe there's a taunt skill, and there
Mm.
is a healer. So there is actually the Trinity should be in the game, and I think
One
that is
other
kind of
thing I wasn't
necessary.
expecting from that game in particular, at least from the early stuff, I didn't really notice a lot of magic until like I saw stuff from the beta. I was like, oh wow,
Yeah,
this is like your typical MMO to a T. Like this motherfucker's just casting and speaking in tongues. I was like, I thought this was just gonna be some weird colonial shit.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But no, man, like we're straight up conquistador
And
mythology.
Zambambos and like all kinds of weird shit going on. It's like, all right,
Yeah, literally the dude that's on the picture of the front of the game is like the actual. I don't think this is really a spoiler at this point, which is kind of the also the sad thing about it, because everybody did everything in the beta essentially, or at least found
it's
everything.
great.
But
Or at least not like end gaming game though, right?
no,
Like
no,
just what
he
was
is the raid.
available.
He is the raid.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the dude on the picture is the raid. He's the one who leads
That's
you
a
on it.
little troubling in and of itself though, right? Because that means that like once you're done with that, that's it.
Yeah, that's. I mean, again,
Like it sounds like there's just not a lot of content then.
I guess the good thing is they didn't expand it out in the way that Elder Scrolls did, where you had to do like all three storylines to get to the end game. Or
It
like
might have been a little bit better if they did. I don't know.
uh, I, I mean, a lot of people just quit because they were like, I could go do a whole new storyline before I can get to the max thing. Oh,
So
and
I
everything's
got work to
broken,
do in
and
the
the
morning.
XP's broke, and then so you have to go to
That's
this
a lot
broken
of
thing to
other
farm.
surrounding stuff,
Yeah,
though.
yeah. I mean that
Right?
is
That's
true.
just the game itself at that point.
Yeah. So like the other thing is I'm hoping that since warring territories is going to be a thing, we don't have the thing of like, oh, people's not in the new area zone, so I'm not going to go there and do anything, so that you actually have a reason to be in certain
Yeah,
places. So that there's
that's
not
fair.
like,
Or there has to be a pull, right?
yeah.
Besides just doing the new hotness.
Yeah, so hopefully we don't see like just nobody existing in certain areas. I hope they expand on that to where people
Yeah, I
go.
mean, the bigger thing I would assume is just dependent on the kind of materials required going forward
Yeah.
for certain things.
And I mean, there's a lot of crafting to do, and it looks really good. I'm hoping you can find stuff though that is better, so a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. But I will say, it seems the crafting is in depth, and as far as like, really, you kind of want to just make one person your crafter and dump all the resources on them, kind of thing, in order to like actually get everything maxed. Um, but yeah, what else was I gonna say? Queue times right now. That's been the biggest complaint from everybody. Is just I literally got in another queue because they had maintenance. I just got in because I just got back to the house,
Mhm.
and I was like, well, I could try to sleep, but I don't know if that's the best idea. And then I was like, oh, let's try to get on. So I got on. There was a short queue, and as soon as I get in, the server's shutting down for maintenance in 30 minutes. And I was like,
Go figure.
so, and then I started feeling sick after that. But
Oof.
that's what did it. The server's shutting down. That was it. No, but but yeah, the queue thing has been kind of the worst part. So, I mean, I did say kind of back to what we were saying though. I was going to give this game about probably a week to 2 weeks for the very hardcore people that super grind and calculate everything and whatever, and then they're
Mhm.
probably going to get bored if there's not enough hard content for PVE, because again, PvP will get boring in about a month. That's what happened. Like we were a full alliance of alpha testers, like all the alpha
Mhm.
testers in Guild Wars 2 just all just communicated together in another, like, the funny thing is they used Ventrilo at that point, the devs did. But uh anybody who was alpha testing, we just had like a team speak that we all kind of grouped together, and then we just all congregated on one server and just dominated everybody.
Well,
Uh,
damn.
and the thing is, that was fun for about a month. Then everybody got bored of just winning everything and having max characters, and ooh, that was fun, I guess. Yeah, kind of thing. So I'm giving this about a month before that like wears off, and everybody's like, "Well, this is boring now." So we'll see if they can keep it lively enough. But yeah, that's pretty much the New World talk. That's the New World cast. There we go, guys. But oh yeah, and then also it's because of everything messed up. You can get a free transfer right now because there's so many people gathering on certain servers. Specifically, one of the biggest ones is Europe.
Hmm.
Like, Europe's having a problem with too many people, probably because they opened first in Europe and everybody flocked there.
All
Um,
right.
because they just wanted to be the first ones streaming it. So a lot of the streamers and stuff are just on Europe because you know I get to stream it first, get the viewers, kind of thing. Look, I got drops. Come watch that kind of stuff. So yeah, but anyway, other than that, Diablo 2 Resurrected came out, and
Hey,
it's Diablo 2. What a surprise!
what a shock.
And that's just what it is. But I mean, I love Diablo 2 a lot.
Right.
Farming Mephisto 4 million times. Yes,
Could
please,
be
any
worse.
day of the week. But some people are just like, "Oh, this is Diablo 2," and I'm like, "Yeah, what did you expect?" So the good news is, they pretty much kept everything the same. You actually soak up gold, but sadly, they took out all the mod support, which is kind of why I'm really sad. Because
Hmm.
I mean, once everybody does everything and made all their characters again and has done their Uber runs, then there's nothing really to do after that.
Right.
Make more builds till you have, best in slot, because there is a best in slot. Everything's already been done. There's nothing like new to come out with, and yeah. So unless they actually try to support it and actually bring out something new afterwards, the game's dead without mods. People's taking a break right now just because other games are coming out. But when people go back, after they get everything done, that's it. But
Yeah,
still,
they're gonna
great
have
game.
other shit to do.
Like, the nostalgia's there, and it nothing really feels bad from what it did. Like, some people are like, "Well, it's an old game, so it has old game problems." I'm like, I mean, hey, it just feels great to me. Like, I'm in there. Like it doesn't really feel all that bad. I can't think of a complaint I have right now, and that's me really trying not to be like, yeah, this is difficult. I like it because it's clunky.
Yes.
This isn't one of those situations. I'm like genuinely like, yeah, I don't really see any problems here.
His nuts are squished flat, and surely that's why he likes it. It's like, okay.
but yeah, oh, Pokemon Unite also came out. Man, there's been a lot of games this month. There's a lot of games this month, dude.
Hashtag too many gerbs.
Yeah, and so I did a ton of that. Kind of stopped my ranked grind, so I'll probably start back on that later next week after everything else dies down. Just doing my dailies right now and trying to get Pokemon. The downside with that game is you're capped at 2,000 resource a week, and it
Mm.
takes I think there's some that you can get for 6, not many, but some, like maybe 2 probably. Then there's 8,000, 10,000 is the good ones, is 8 and 10. 10 is the really good ones, 8 is the good ones. Like the newest stuff, I think. Actually, the newest one I think is only 8. But the one I want, like Absol, which is like kind of OP, because if you're behind somebody, you essentially just one-shot them, which is kind of dumb. Because half the time, if you're running away, you automatically turn. There's no way to like run away and look at the enemy unless you're playing Charmander or something. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, you just get to one-shot everybody. It's just kind of silly. I got to play when Absol was free, and I was just like, space, 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 space. Okay, I killed everybody. Yeah,
That's a wrap. Everybody go home.
yeah. It was like, oh yeah, and I'm also using BlueStack, so I'm playing on PC technically. So I wrote a little bit of code and remapped everything because the first one was okay, but really clunky. And now it feels just like I'm playing League of Legends or something. So
Let's see.
that definitely helps a lot. So I'm essentially playing PC version, while other people are playing on a controller or phone. Luckily, a lot of it's auto target, so phone and stuff isn't bad. I actually use a lot of the auto target. But yeah, tons of games. Before I find another one to mention, let's get into Gundam because this is about Gundam. But too many games. It's actually a pretty cool feeling right now, especially having the PC to run literally whatever I want. So, I guess I got that. You got the PS5 with those frames. I got the PC. So I got frames in a different side of things, which I definitely needed because the laptop was scuffed. I still go back to it every now and then to try to play something. I'm like, never again. Okay, here, let me go ahead and move this over. And you got it up right now, the suit, right? Uh-oh, Gustav? Oh, you might have been muted for a few seconds, or something happened to sound.
There we go. I'm good.
There we go. Okay, sorry if you were responding to too many
Yeah, sorry, I
games
was
and
muted because
stuff.
I was someone rated, so I was talking. I forgot
Ah,
to
okay,
unmute.
okay. But yeah, if you were talking during the too many games and that this is a Gundam thing, then yeah. um, but yeah, I see you got the suit up, so we can go ahead and go through its base weapon set. I'll bring yours up 1 second here.
Yeah, let me know when you want to go through stats and or whatever, and I can just back out.
Yeah, and then I can do the percentages. But let's just see the thing in action a little bit first. We'll do a taste of what this thing can do if I can find the right window here. Go with this one. Did I choose wisely or did I choose poorly? Hey, I chose wisely. Okay, cool. So I got it up on. I got your screen up. Um. So I guess real quick. Uh. What do we think of this thing in general so far?
In general, it's pretty excessive. It's got a lot of shit going on.
I got 3 words right now.
Mm.
Too damn big.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the biggest problem. Like I mean, the damage control 3 is cool, and when it's flying, it's really cool. Like, you can pretty much not knock it out of the air at all if you wanted to. There's very few things that can actually get that thing out of the sky. But, yeah, it's just, it's too big
It's
when it's on
fucking
the ground.
huge.
Like I clip its little shoulder or backpack there that is flying around with right now, and I've got it stunned. Like I was playing the what is it? The A1 steak sauce, and I just shot at its general direction and stunned it while it was on the ground. And then I was just like, "Oh, come here! Time to clap!" Because does this thing have much melee res?
Not not really.
Yeah, I did a
The
lot of
bigger
damage.
thing is that yeah, you're right about the size. And this the size plays in not so much on this map, but on other maps, especially like city ruins or like I was talking about before we started today, port base where you have like a lot of underpasses and stuff. It gets a little bit dicey. I think when they were talking about in terms of scaling the suit, when they're like, "Oh yeah, we figured out the size issue," I think they meant that this thing technically should be a lot bigger than it is, which is saying a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
because I thought
but
this thing
as
was.
it is, also I just got hit in the legs, transformed, and that just like blew my shit up. So that's kind of crazy. But like the legs take up a big amount, and if you notice, when I'm transformed, my MGs aren't there because the arms are tucked in backwards. So all you have when you're transformed is the shoulder cannons and the missiles that are actually built into that part, which is pretty good. They have a lot of stun threshold on them. There's something about the cannons that supposedly they're able to like splash damage a little bit. I don't know if that's really that big of a radius. It seems like it's not, but the charge and the general damage on them is pretty good. Once again, though, because of the size and how much they stick out in front of you, if you get that charge real late or anything like that, and you hit into somebody, I had that clip that you were talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, if it clips through somebody, the beam will still fan off to like the left or right, kind of like other weapons do. Sometimes to your advantage, but other times it might end up hitting some of your people, so you got to be careful about that.
So when you're flying though, does it do the bazooka explosion kind of beam thing?
It's supposed to be for both,
Okay.
or at least I would assume so. But it's kind of hard to tell because it seems like, and I was testing it out earlier in this, but you have to either be really close to their legs or like it's gonna be really hard to tell that one of your barrels didn't just hit them physically anyway because these are huge and there's two of them. So it might be that they're just clipping them anyway.
Yeah, I was hearing from people that the explosion area is huge, but then I'm like,
Maybe
well,
for the charge and maybe just not for the neutral itself. Like I can do a charge shot real quick and just see. The other interesting thing, speaking of that though, is that this thing can charge on the move. It still has to stand still to fire. I need it better. I need you guys to not move for a second because
yeah, I thought the AOE was only when you full charge.
that was both. Hold on. I need like right here, I guess. Wait. It's kind of hard to tell just because of the angling.
I
How about
do
this?
have the wiki up, so I can check
Yeah,
that.
so it did do that. And if we do the neutral, it's like really small. So yeah, maybe it is just the charge. But yeah, it definitely looks like it has an AOE on the charge, so we'll probably just go with that.
Yeah,
The
that's good.
other neat thing about this is that the claws, as they were displayed in the demo video, also have an instant knockdown. So you have some Zogok
Yeah.
kind of action going on. I would say that it has a very Ashimara like downswing. It just brings it up and over. Big old haymaker. And the downswing for the sabers, which is the primary melee, also goes into a thrust.
Yeah, it's
It
pretty
also
big.
has one of those weirdo neutrals where it swings it to the side, kind of like as a side swipe, instead of just bringing it up and down.
Hit all your teammates. Do it.
Yeah, especially with that side swing.
Hmm.
Ooh, ooh. Like what is happening here?
Side swing's almost a reverse swing.
It's getting all fancy with it, which is interesting because you can still, like we just saw there, it hits down and up, so you can do it as like a downswing and then just like smack this dude. So there's some weird shit that you can do. You're definitely gonna be able to do. I'd almost say if you want to hit shit on the ground, then do the right swing. If you want to do something that's not the downswing, because there's a little bit of wind up on it, but it does carry you pretty well. But yeah, this also has this is another suit that has enhanced tackle 5 on top of all the other like melee bully shit. So
Yeah,
don't be afraid to actually get in there and just like shove somebody, I guess.
that was another question I had. Does enhanced tackle also do anything with wave rider attack essentially, or is that just melee scaling?
It has its own, I think it's melee scaling because it has its own ability for that
Yeah,
in
so
transformation. What is it called? Collision or something like that? I forget what it's called, but it has its own separate skill for that. Which ironically, depending on how you scale this, I guess, for melee, the impact, depending on how that scales, seems like it does more damage than the tackle itself.
hmm. Yeah, so I was wondering if it actually had something to do with the tackle enhancement. That'd be kind of interesting if it did.
Maybe it's like both combined, like it just stacks. That I'm not super sure about.
Yeah. Um. Oh, does the what's the missile stuns for the and how well do they track?
The missile
Feel pretty
sounds.
good.
Let's see. Yeah, like it's very Gazamish.
That's what I was guessing. So yeah.
Also, they stun pretty much, I guess, with half the salvo there. The Vulcan gun also stuns pretty quickly. Well, it's also ballistic at high cost, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, it actually has a lot of ammo, which is really cool.
So you can get like essentially two almost 3 stuns depending on
And
what
you
you're
can go
shooting.
into
The other thing to keep in mind is that there's a lot of stuff here that has damage control, so um, results may vary.
yeah, I'd say you do what
Okay, I think he was already pretty low, but still,
oh
holy shit.
nice. But what you do build up stun into rocket and
So the other thing is that you also have this grenade launcher,
oh yeah, yeah, the grenade. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the
which
grenade.
has a bit slow, but yeah, single hit, instant stun.
Maybe you could follow up
I'd
the beam
almost
with
say
it.
most of the stuff that you're gonna be doing, yeah, you could do that, like bop into
Missiles into beam
just
into
neutral into that or just melee. Because I mean, at that point, one thing about this too is that on top of it being very big, if you dither too much on the outside, like you were saying before, you're gonna get stun looped a lot. So you kind of have to constantly be either moving or just doing advancing shit. Not to mention, you do get a decent little bob of damage there for when you're doing your collisions. So, but no, it's definitely neat. Very timely for this really weird clan match selection that they're doing, especially since it seems like it should, even though it's a transformable, it seems like it really should just have space advantage and it doesn't, which is a shame because it's a transformable.
yeah,
That's
that's
just
a
how
weird.
they work. That's just a transformable thing though. Like they just always do it that way.
Yeah.
Because the plant, honestly, like stuff like a planter or whatever should probably do it too. But it don't. Even though this big hunk of metal that is the Palestine has space type advantage, which is also very silly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess just because it doesn't make sense on the ground either. So,
Right. Um okay, I guess we could go ahead and look at the stats now and then do a little 1v1.
all right.
I'll just pick another general of some sort. I'll go ahead and bring up the wiki as well. Kind of flip flop back around, or actually, here,
So I had the level 1 here. Hold on, let me try to just get in the add data mobile suit. Where is this motherfucker? How do I have this sorted? Okay, by name.
okay.
I can just look at this. So base stats, level 1 is 21,000 health. Ballistic resistance is 29, beam resistance is 29, melee resistance is 16, range strength is 40 out of the gate. Melee strength is 20, movement speed is 140, top speed is 220, thruster gauge is 80, turning speed is 69.
Giggity.
Yep. Slight scaling. We're talking 23,000 for the level 2. Resistance goes 31, 31, 18. A slight bump for range strength to 45. Melee goes to 22. And of course, the slottage changes. So on the first one, we're talking 9 close, 20 medium, 15 long range slots, and then that bumps up to 10 close, 22 medium, and 16 long range for the level 2. The only bigger change when it transforms is, of course, its movement speed gets maxed out. Top speed goes from 220 to 240, and the turning speed actually slows down to 54 from 69, so that's considerable unless you're using, of course, the air brake. Now, if you go into skills here, and I wonder if I hit this, okay, good.
Yeah.
So this thing has got a fucking laundry list of fucking skills going on.
Yeah, it
So from
does.
the top, we're talking emergency evasion system level 1, anti-blast stabilizer level 1, high performance balancer level 1, high spec ambac level 2, damage control level 3, which is considerable. Force injector level 2, thank goodness, considering its size. Enhanced tackle level 5, like we said before, which means 200% to attack and plus 30% to distance covered. High performance radar is level 2, melee combo controller level 1, although it should be noted that you have it for both weapons. There's no finaglery here with it being for one or the other. Explosive reactive armor, which reduces reaction to hit by ranged attack that causes explosion. Transformation, of course. Special add-on buffer for the back, which is level 2. I feel like they should have bumped that up considering the size of that.
Right?
two
Just a little
seems
bit.
a little too light for that. But special leg buffer level 2, which also goes for 15. Flight control program allows high-speed movement and other actions, which of course I would hope something like this would have that. Fall prevention system, which is another nice one, reduces reaction when hit by a ranged attack while in midair.
Yep. That
Which honestly,
transform and fall
most
protection.
transformables at this point, I feel like should just have that. It's weird that that's got to be like a special thing.
Yeah.
And then transformed, we're talking the usual stuff. So anti-blast is still there, shock dampeners, emergency evasion system, high performance radar 2. Damage control is still in effect here. Ram attack is only level 1. Have we had one with a higher level ram attack at this point? I don't quite recall.
Okay, so maybe they just upped the ram attack then. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, special back add-on buffer, leg buffer. It should be noted that both of these can be damaged while you're in transformation, so beware of that. Especially with how big your legs and back are.
Yep.
So that applies for both space and ground, respectively. And then, of course, Transformation Optimizer. So reduces thruster gauge consumption when activating high-speed movement, or transforming back to normal mode by 60%. Reduces thruster gauge consumption from high-speed movement by 25%. So not going to be burning out super hard in this, but you're still going to have to mind where your gauge is at when you actually hit that transformation regardless. I don't know if I can actually look at. So there's no alternate weapons. Hold on, let me go to my actual suit itself, because I can look at the enhancement list here. So 80 FCS, which is +1 range modifier, that starts at 550 and it starts to scale up from there. Propellant tank level 1, +1 thrusters, +100 unit HP for frame reinforcement. Complex expansion slots at the very end of the regular bracket here, which just adds 1 to each. Kind of a shame considering how high level this is. I thought that'd be a little bit better, but anti-ballistic enhancement level 4, ballistic resistance +5, and +5 to range modifier for these two that you have to unlock. With gold, by the way.
Yep.
Also of note is that it has melee priority 2, and like we said before, because it's a transformable, it does not have compatibility with anything, and it's just an all-rounder.
Well, here, real quick. The other things too with its weapons, it has a 7% stagger rate with the Vulcan cannon. That's why it
Mm.
staggers pretty well. That's really nice, actually. Out of 60 shots, that's a lot of stun. So
That's actually one weapon that I didn't know that it had, and I was a little surprised to see it as the main gun. So yeah,
yeah.
nice that they were pretty generous with that stagger ratio.
Then we have the melee, seems to be 0.7 swap time. Crazy there. The grenade has a stun value of 40%. So that's kind of cool. So if that doesn't stun, you can follow up with some Vulcans pretty quick. Then the cannons themselves, 10% value times 2 for stun. And then they have a giant list here because simultaneously firing 2 shots, stopping at the time, being stopped at the time the shooting is immediately shot, staggered. Yes. What?
Oh my god!
Anyway, yeah, pretty much. There's a focusing blast range that they have there too, is kind of thing. So
Right,
yeah, so there
because it
is
gets
one,
up from the charge.
and it gains 1.357 magnification to its damage, giving it at a full charge 1900 and then 1000. Um, and then 0.77 second swap time. Oh wait, does it overheat? No, no. On a full charge, it's 95%. That's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, like you still have another shot in there if you really need it, or you can just cycle and let it, cool off.
Shoulder missile pods, 20%. Okay, so
Yeah, it's pretty
20% stun rate.
considerable.
Then if you transform, the stagger value is 15% on the cannons. I guess 35% times 2 if it's fully charged. I guess it was 80% if fully charged, the other one, because it says 40% in parentheses times 2. So you full
Mhm.
charge it. That's still pretty significant. That's 80% on those. Pretty much follow up if you don't stun something. If they have stun resistance, you can just Vulcan and you're good.
Mhm.
That's kind of interesting. And then the missile pods, when you're transformed, is only 7% stun value. So you need most of them there, almost all of them to stun that way.
Yeah, definitely try to either do it while you're passing so that you can do the impact while you're at it, or do it from a higher range
Yep.
so that you can either follow up with the cannons or lead in with the cannons first.
Cool. So yeah, if we want to do a quick 1v1, if we don't have anything else, I mean, again, my biggest problem and what we might see here in the little 1v1 thing is it's big, pretty easy to bully.
Yeah,
So
let's beam me up, and then Arctic base will probably be a good one for this, just so that we can talk
okay.
about some of the size issues too.
Well, here, while I bring everything up, do you want to go ahead and do me an invite? Or here, see, I already have it. Oh, okay, yeah, never mind. Already the word.
I mean, who's hosting? Because I was
I've got
saying
it. I've
beam
got
me
it.
up.
Yeah, yeah. I know you said beam me up, and I was like, wait, did I already have this up? So you do have the 600 one, right?
Yes.
As long as this doesn't break, then I can just invite you, because hopefully that friend bug doesn't take effect.
I will say my two sorties yesterday were at 600 in city ruins, which was interesting. Finding a couple spots where I was getting stuck. And then seeing some other people talk about it too, like the big ramp building near one of the other central points. The wedge between that and the dome has a spot where you can get stuck. And then I was flying yesterday and trying to get away. The side entrances into the alleyways. There's those two buildings that are pretty close together. I can't get through those. You gotta lower yourself a little bit to smoosh on down on in there. A lot of the invisible walls have always worked against transformable suits in particular, just because you're going into a lot of places where they didn't expect you to go. It's kind of why, at least at high cost, the new map has been pretty nice, just because there's a lot less to consider there. And of course, you have military base before that as well.
Trying to figure out what I want to try to fight you with. You know what? I like this thing. This could be.
So I will say, this has a lot of kit. It can do some damage, and maybe it's just the way that I built it with like a lot of health and stuff like that. Maybe I should put more of a YOLO build on this, but it doesn't do quite as much damage across the board as I would expect. It has a lot of things to keep people occupied and or on the floor, and it is a big bully suit when it comes to more clusterfucky situations. But because it's also only rocking priority 2, there are situations where it's still really struggling. Because a lot of raids are still going to want to hack at this.
Yep.
And if you don't have your tackles ready, or if you can't physically see what they're doing because your big ass is looming over them, you're going to have a lot of little issues like that. Oh god, I can't get around you.
Nope, 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 nope.
No.
Oh my god.
Actually,
Immediately we see a problem.
Come here for a sec, because
Okay.
someone was talking about this the other
Oh
day.
no, oh no.
Yeah, no, the gear cave
No,
is
no,
scary
no.
for this thing. The gear cave is not great for this thing. Come here, you. Come here. Come here.
Oh no, 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 no.
So the bigger thing is like, look how much space this fucking takes
I
up.
was gonna say
Thankfully,
I can't miss.
in this situation, I can't like clip, just because of the nature of the structure itself. But yeah, also you can't miss.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
So
just gotta fire
I have
down
to
the
literally
hallway.
I just have to outshoot you and just hope for the best.
It's like I'm waiting here. Doof. Doof, doof.
Oh
Doof.
lord.
I fired too soon. No. Oh. Oh my gosh, the length on that though. That
Oh,
was awesome.
that was a mistake.
No more dodge for you. Doo doo. Oh, it's
No.
not ready yet. Come on, no.
Dude, oh.
Come on, ready up
I will
again.
say the downswing on the downswing on the claw has a lot of carry, but I think it's one of those things where it has it has only a certain amount of hitbox for that movement. So if you hit them at the end, technically, unless you hit them with a certain part of your body, you're not really gonna see the results that you're probably hoping for.
Oh wait, I just
Which is
put
a
it in
little
basic. Oops.
which is a little unfortunate, but it's just kinda how it be. It'd be how it do. And all that.
Yeah, I will say it's just a big target, and if you just have any instance done, I mean that's the problem with the double Zeta too, right? Like the double
Yeah, let
Zeta
me
has that. Now
where are
this,
you?
when you're doing this, I'm like, oh no, come on, man, stay away from me.
Yeah, but the second I land,
Yeah, the second you're out
I'll
of it,
say,
I'm like, I have you now. Yeah, I was hoping that might stun you. Ooh.
yeah,
One
that
thing
claw
is,
doesn't fuck around.
yeah, it's got 3k damage, which is kind of just gross outright out the gate, man.
I don't have any melee stuff on this either. Which is probably the crazier part about that.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
that claw collapsed.
there's no enhancements here. Just like only got like level 4 ranged on this bitch. While I'm doing Stream Raider things. Sorry.
Oh, you get okay. I'm spawning in. Better be
Don't
ready.
you bully me.
Is your body ready? Body
Be nice
ready?
to me. Don't do it.
Body ready? Am I ready
There
to?
you
Oh
go.
well, fine. If we're.
Oh, cat. Okay, little bastard. Whoa. Pew,
Oh
pew.
wait, that's a
Ow.
stun. Okay, do do do.
Yeah, like, where's my damage control coming in here? It's like, help.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like if there's no like base stun prevention, so since everything I have is just stun, I can just do that, and then I do that. Oh, I missed. Oh. Now here's where your damage control wins. I'm like, help. Luckily, I'm just flailing around right now. Normally, I miss with this thing so many times. Oh, I hit a.
I will say the ready up on that grenade is a little surprising. I'm like, man, that's really fast. I'm expecting it to be like the Thunderbolt, where it's just like, oh, it's gonna take a second and it's probably gonna stand still to fire. It's like, no, I'm just trying it on the move. Oh,
Oh,
oh, oh.
there we go. Finally broke your
Oh,
damage control. I was
no,
like,
no, no,
please
no.
break it.
Why? Why you gotta be this way?
I mean, damage control 3 is a pretty big deal, but
It's only a big deal if it's a suit that doesn't have a lot of instant stuns.
well, and the other thing too, I was just like, I mean, it's kind of the problem I have with the Palace Athene, or I thought I have with the Palace Athene. I was like, well, it's cool that it has damage control too, but I can just be stunned with any instant stun. This does really nothing for me. Or like the Zusa, that's one of the Zusa problems.
Yeah.
But Zusa
At the very
has
least,
a million
Zissa has a
stuns.
lot of maneuverability, and then, like, at the very least, the Palestine can kind of plan itself and stay still and just gain that extra buffer. I don't got either of those things. Like, my recourse for that is to transform. But in
Yeah.
doing so, I lose, like, a shit ton of my weapons. So a lot of the diversity that this has kind of falls to the wayside.
Oh, where's my counter? No. Ah. Dude.
Especially when I can do shit like
Oh,
that.
and the thing is, it has 3,000 damage, and you can hit twice with it. Oh my. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh. That is actually gross. Being able to hit twice with a weapon that does 3,000 damage. I didn't even look at the modifiers. Hang on, let me tab out
Actually,
real
yeah,
quick.
look at the modifiers real quick,
Look at
because,
them
like, if it
modifiers,
seems
dude.
it should be depreciating. Like, I'd be very surprised if it doesn't. Unless it's just not very considerable, like maybe it's kind of like a gym custom situation.
Let's see. Here we go. I accidentally closed the window. I'm gonna need it later for when we go through buffs and nerfs. Come on. Here we go. So it
That's so
has
cool.
a modifier of so the beam saber. Dude, where is that at?
Time to break the game. Am I stuck? Oh god, I
Oh,
am
don't
stuck.
get stuck.
I'm stuck.
Oh
Shit.
no.
So yeah, if you see where I'm at right now,
Oh my
this
god.
spot right here, if you fuck around too much, you can get stuck in here. I'm not stuck now. I got unstuck.
Oh.
But if you fold out, um, yeah, you can fuck that up and just be stuck in there and be like, help. And so most of the time, the solution is just to roll. And
Damn.
it seems like people get unstuck pretty easy. So you have that at least. Oh my god, no. Oh my god, no. Nah, I gotta roll and I can't hit me.
Oh, you can't roll. Oh man. Oh, you flew around. And that's the thing. It's like gimmick of
Well,
flying
no, I
around.
had
You
it. I
gotta.
just couldn't get it out in time. It made
Oh.
me sad.
Oh no.
I was too fat. Oh, oh. Shit. So the funny thing about that is that we were talking about the optimized transformation or whatever. So even though I did all that, technically I could roll. I just had to get out of my landing after you stunned me to death in order to do it, which really attributes to how much you got to mash some of these buttons between like instant stuns and also flinching shots. That's definitely still a very strong factor for this. Because that's one thing, right? You can resist consecutive hits, but one thing no suit really tends to resist is flinch itself as like an input delay or interruption. So it is a good suit. It's very interesting. I kind of want to show off some of the other size things that are going on with this, like on the underpass and shit. There's another one that I saw where those ramps that lead up to the midpoint in this map. If you're under those, and I think if you or I tackle, because of the sheer size, you can technically get a counter out of me
Huh.
because I clipped through the whole thing. It's similar to like how the what is it? The Sazabi with its big ass beam saber. It can actually hit people above it on platforms and stuff like that. It's like that. Except this is physically the entire body is like clipping through certain parts of like platforms and things.
Interesting.
So like if I was hanging out in that underpass, you could probably see my back binder and like hit it and it would actually count.
Okay, that's silly. Oh my. Okay, so I don't know where all the modifiers are on the wiki. Emblem help.
Oh no.
Hang on, I'll find it here in a second. I mean, do you want to do another one, or I mean, I think that kind of we pretty much just showed its problem.
Yeah, I mean if you want to while you're looking. I can just dig around.
Okay. But yeah, something that has multiple instant stuns or anything that has build up like that's good enough, like it's kind of terrifying. That's why I was like, oh my gosh, when I saw the Rigazi Kai, I was like, sorry,
Yeah,
Gustav.
I don't think in sheer size, like in terms of the way that it stands up, but like just with the back binder alone. Like it's definitely bigger than Dovin. It's bigger than most of the big suits now. It's just so weird the way it stands. It stands like you're like some drunk middle aged dude just sticking its gut out, except it has no gut. It looks like somebody's raggedy ass uncle like hanging out in front of their porch, just like, what's wrong with this dude?
I was gonna say, come melee me twice with the claw and see what happens, or just do a down swing and see what the damage is. You could kind of
Don't say.
estimate that.
Oh, that was a weird.
Try to hit
What the
me in
hell
the
was
front
that?
though, because I got buffer.
Bonk.
What was the damage on that?
That was like 3777 or something like that. Let me do it again.
I guess I got some melee defense.
Bonk. Oh, too soon. Why does it do that sometimes? Hello? 3744. Okay.
Not bad.
130% downswing on the claw, 160 downswing, and then 100% 50% on the saber, 100% 60% on the claw. And Gear is putting some of the
Oh,
values.
I found it right here. Here it is. Okay, fighting direction correction. Got it. So yeah, neutral horizontal is just hundreds. Yeah. Downswing is 130. Saber gets 160.
Mm.
And then the standard is 75 on the side. So it has 100% on size, which is nice. Period. No matter what you're hitting with. So kind of cool. And then the second one goes with the claw. It goes down to 60% on the second hit. The saber is 50%. Yeah. Case one of the best. But yeah, I found it. Thank you for saying the 130. I was like, where is this? But yeah, it's up near the top. Got it. All right, under the part slots. So apparently, moving backward, it's slower if you're just trying to backpedal. Side, it has a pretty good solid speed. So
Seems like the missile pods are separate as well.
yeah, the missile powers are separate. They have a 7% stun when transformed, and they have like 20% stun when not. So you only have to hit me with 5 of missiles when not transformed. They actually stun. Kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just to give you more of a chance when you're in a neutral position.
But yeah, every time
You
I've seen one
first.
flying around, I just wait for it to hit the ground, and then I'm just like, I'll bully you now, I guess. Oh, it's done. Oh,
Oh, oh, oh.
no! My battery.
Rude.
My battery on my controller.
Oh
No,
god, my neutral.
it didn't die yet. It says it's low though.
My neutral doesn't hit the ground, and it makes me sad.
You threw it on the ground. That's what I was wondering too. If like, oh, whoops! I shot too soon. I
I
shot
wonder
too
if
low.
they probably won't correct that just because he had the side swing, but like, and they leave it at 100, so it's like, damn, I'm never gonna remember that.
And with those being overhead, how did that feel when I kind of rushed you there? Because I was like, I wonder if I can get under his gun.
I think you can still like the cannon for sure is very fumbly when you're that close, just because of the sheer size difference. But everything else, because it's like either pinned on the body or on the arms, seems like it still hits. Where are you going? Where are you going?
In circles. Oh, oh,
I'm too big. Oh,
oof,
oh,
doof,
oh. Why does it gotta be this
doof,
way?
doof, doof,
Oh my
doof,
fucking god.
doof. I could have backed off and probably shot you with my hip again. Oof. Oh no, not me. I got doof. Ah, what? Oh, force injector went. No, the bane of my existence, dude. Eh.
Oh,
Oh, too soon.
you're
Oh, oh no, I'm out of ammo. No, 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 no. Okay, that was kind of. Ah, we both
that's a
died.
bad trade. Ugh.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you can chain stuns on things, I still have my dodge roll
So
too.
I would say it's pretty formidable in the air. On the ground, 1v1 is a little scary unless you can get your either that grenade or the cannon off, and then you can just follow up into melee. You really do have to lean on your melee a little bit more just to keep the pressure up. Because suddenly the missiles and the handguns, despite them having good stun thresholds, aren't quite enough.
My thing is, this literally could have just been a support.
Yeah. It wouldn't have made as much sense just because
Oh,
it's like an ace suit. Ace suits don't tend to be support suits because support suits are for bitches.
I take offense to that.
Oh
That's why I get to bully you like this right now. Free. Oh no.
no.
Wait, what? You? Well, like I said, you can like backswing with that thing. Hey,
Wee!
hey.
Wee! Get away from me. Stop. Stop. Stop that.
Oh, he's coming around. Turn around. Turn around. Ah. Oh.
Oh.
Hmm.
Oh god, what am I on? What is this?
You're hovering in the air. Oh no. He's broke.
Oh,
Oh.
get out of here. It's easy because of the huge
Oh my
cans. Yeah,
momo.
the binders are fucking huge. Although I would
Oh,
say
I missed.
like just as many hits tend to be placed. Oh god, stop, stop. Just as many hits tend to be placed on the legs just because of how long they are. Oh, your stupid not biosensor thing.
Yeah. Get out of jail free card.
My cycle
No.
frame resonance.
Darn it. No. I missed again.
But yeah,
Oh.
that's still scary. Like if I can get the DACA going and just there's a lot of ifs with this suit though when it comes to shit like that.
Yeah, this is
Um,
definitely a one per team kind of suit. I mean, it
I don't
just
know if
feels
you're
very
really good at
support.
striker stuff. Like I would almost say put grenade launcher or the cannons on in place of your main gun
Yeah, for sure.
in terms of binding, and just move in with those and then do your melee shit. Like it's definitely scaled towards your range, which is gonna be good for you because like when you do have the opportunities between other people like doing shit, you should definitely be doing that. But primarily from mid to close, you should probably be lining up for your melee.
Like, it's so hard not to hit you. I'm like, okay, he's gonna hit me, but I definitely am going to hit him. Like, I don't even have to try to aim at the thing is my problem. Like, they should have give it, like, the
Tentatively draw.
shoulders. Like, you can't stun the
God, the
shoulders or
way it
something.
stands is so stupid. It's like it's sticking his dick out. What the fuck?
Oh my gosh, I literally just looked at your screen now on the stream.
It's
Oh,
so
look.
bad.
Eh. Shwing! Like, we could do, like, the Hunter x Hunter meme with, like, put Hisoka's face on the front of that thing. Swing!
Oh my god. Swing.
I can't believe that was actually a thing. So
I feel like it'll have less and more problems in space because of that. Because it's gonna have more space to do its range shit,
yeah,
and it'll be okay in that regard.
more ways to dodge, harder to aim for most people.
Mm-hmm. But especially when we're talking about the next clan match where it's 4v4, there's a lot less suits to focus on.
Yep.
And once they start to lose suits, you're gonna get hit a lot. There's gonna be a lot of angles to hit this thing from. And those buffers are pretty minimal.
I guess.
I would say immediately if they're gonna do anything in terms of adjustments for the suit, fix the maps, make them a little bit bigger again, like you did for the Char's counterattack suits. Y'all ain't done with that. I don't know how the hell you managed to make one for those big ass things and then didn't think, oh, this thing's actually bigger. Maybe we shouldn't touch that.
I will
Um,
say on the water map, it should feel really good, like really good.
oh yeah. I will say though on the water map, if you're landing and if you're getting in like a lot of the little nooks and crannies like around the ships and stuff in mid, be careful. Do not get stuck. You're probably gonna get stuck a lot. But outside of that, in some of the bigger like hilly areas and stuff, yeah, you should be fine. Not to mention you're just gonna be flying around too. In Ruin City or the Arch Import Base. So the Arch Import Base, it kinda can, if you're not careful. There are spots where you can kind of catch yourself on the binders. The bridges in Ruin City, I don't remember if I went under them yesterday. I don't think so. But I would assume that they let you through, but it's just that your backpack's probably gonna be just like clipping through the fucking bridge itself. There's another spot on City Ruins, you know where the big building is that's like a ramp
Oh yeah,
and it's like right next to the dome.
yeah.
That little passage three between the two, you can't get through that. You're too big. You'll actually get stuck.
Okay, noted. I know where to
So
bullet
there was a quote or there was a clip of that the other day.
you. Oh no. No, 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 no.
Did I do 2 space matches before we started? No, actually, I think I only did the one, so I got to do another. But yeah, This is still a nice suit, especially if we're talking about clan matches. I would not be surprised if we're gonna see a fair amount of these. Um, I'm a little on the fence about saying if this is a one per team kind of suit, mostly just because due to it having so much random bullshit that you can put on it and that it already has in terms of weapons. I
Yeah.
feel like it's just a matter of retooling your buttons and what you consider to be your primary and just kind of keeping that in mind going forward. This is another one of those general suits that's almost too generalized while also being good at pretty much all of it. The sheer size is like its biggest disadvantage, which is a big deal. especially on ground. But in space, it's gonna be a different story, and I'm gonna be very interested to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I really can't wait to see that. Like, just the results, how many people are using it. Um, any other final thoughts? And I'll kind of give my take because I kind of have to agree with you though. It might not be just a one for a team comp.
Um, I think the bigger takeaway here is that they were willing to try to tackle the scaling issues. I don't think they nailed it. I think they're gonna have to either do some map edits or figure out some more stuff for the size. Because in the opposite end, when this is too big, the other issue is that people were talking about in some of the anniversary interviews. Oh well, what about F91 suits? You know, those are really small. Do you think that's something that you guys could maybe try to figure out in the future? And they're like, well, the bigger thing for that is the pilot scaling versus the suit itself. And like that might become an issue just because they did it in relation to like 1 Year War and up.
Yep.
But if they're willing to tackle really big suits, we could see how they do that for small suits. Because I think one example in terms of pilot scaling being weird is if you've ever looked on the new map, was it Military Port or whatever, the mid island, the big island over there, the buildings are actually really small, and like all the stuff on top of the roof that should be like the size or bigger than the pilots are not. You like tower over them in some cases, and it really shouldn't
Oh,
be that
okay.
way.
See, I thought they fixed that because I went over there and looked, and the buildings look kind of right size. But I guess the stuff on it that should be bigger than I didn't look at the little things on it.
Yeah, so it was more so the little things than
Oh,
the
okay.
buildings and stuff themselves.
No big deal.
Now, you say that they might have changed it. I'm a little curious to go in like a practice and see if like the stuff on it is a proper scale, but if it's not, then that's even funnier.
The building looks proper scaled now. Like I remember not being able to trip over it in the suit, and then I ran into it when I went to check in a practice, and then but I didn't look at anything like the little details on it or anything.
Okay.
I just looked at can I walk through this as a person and do is the building too small? Because I remember like when it first came out, I was like, I can just step anywhere here and not really worry about getting caught on anything other than the lighthouse itself. But But yeah, as far as my issues with the suit is I kind of would like to see them put a like back buffer stun resist skill into the game or something maybe.
Mm.
Because I mean it's just too easy. Like I've had way too many hits on it where I'm just like I'm not even trying to aim and I'm hitting every time. So that has been kind of the thing I've been like wrestling with. Like, is there a good way around this? Just is it the players I ran into, or is this thing actually just too big and it takes hardly any skill at all to hit the thing? And something like the like I haven't played against it in a support yet. I was playing this with a raid and I was killing them like with the
Because you also
GPO.
prioritize it, which is a
Yeah,
different matter entirely.
yeah. So I had the GPO2 beam bazooka, which got a huge buff, my baby.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
go.
we're
We'll talk about
talking
that
about
later.
that one.
Um, and also a funny Reddit thing that I read literally before the update,
Oh
which
no.
somebody was like, "I wish they would buff it." Wish granted. Um, but anyway, well, not exactly wish they were hoping, but
Good enough.
yeah, right. Especially playing it. Holy crap! That's all I gotta say. But anyway, we'll get to that. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
was pulling
fucking
it in
rated
raid.
you, and I was like, of course he's in the GPO2 and not even like bothering with the new suit.
My baby. But yeah, I mean, other than it being too big, and I just think there should be a skill for its back binders to not like cannons or whatever to not count toward a stun or something. Because like if I'm hitting just a little tip of your wing that's sticking out, either like you can't peek anybody with that thing, right? You're
Like I
You're trying to
can't
get that.
physically see around the fucking binders. Binders, which by the way, constantly have the thrusters going, and that's like
Oh my
doing the
gosh.
whole heat effect and things
Ah,
in the camera.
ah.
So like, oh god,
Yeah,
there's
there's
there's a
that.
lot going on with that suit that needs to get looked at again in terms of just like its size and shit.
Let's see. Yeah, but that's pretty much all I got on it. Like it's just the back binders are too big for me really is the problem, and it's so easy to stun by hitting the little tip of the wing that's sticking out a mile, before like you're like, okay, I'm hiding behind a wall. Most people are like, I'm hiding, and I'm like, no, you're not. There's like a huge person
Are you
hiding behind
sure
a
about
little
that?
chair. Like, okay,
It's
what?
like why you do it with the Keyblade. It's like, oh, my center is safe, but your wing is still there. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's like that, only worse with this thing. But yeah, that's kind of my problem. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the previous suits, and I'll bring up the patch notes stuff, and we can start looking at that from the previous sets, and we'll go into patch notes after. If I can find the right page. Oh, that is not on the right. Oh wait, no, that is on the right thing. I just gotta get off stream. Time to lurk. Work mode active. Um. Okay, so the first one we got here is the Rick Deja. And yeah,
oh, it didn't take long.
what did you think of the Rick Deja?
uh, we saw it a little bit during clans. It was kind of interesting. It definitely has a good cleanup potential in terms of the overdrive or overcharge, whatever they called it. And in general, it's another support that seems like it has a decent movement rate on it. That's a bit more general like. So it's able to keep up. I can't say that I've really seen it too much outside of its initial debut,
Yep.
compared to other things. And when we get to the buffs and nerfs, there's a lot of suits that people were saying that they were surprised to see get touched, and I think it's a similar sentiment, right? A
Yep.
lot of them are suits that are even older that just haven't been run in a while, and a lot of these are in an effort to keep them relevant and like used, especially as newer players come in and have a higher chance of getting some of these suits. Um, but yeah, this is definitely one of those that I wouldn't be surprised if they figure out something to touch on it later on.
Yeah, my biggest issue is I do think it has the damage. Everything that it fires chunks, which is great. But as soon as that's on cooldown and you've overloaded, you're just a worse general, and that's
Mm.
that's pretty much it.
And that's something that I think is relevant for another adjustment that we'll talk about later when people were talking about it not needing like a buff necessarily. And that's something that a lot of supports actually still suffer from because they're like, oh well, it's DPS, so they should their options or their capacities should be limited because they can do so much damage. And it's like that's not the point. The point
Yeah.
is that they're doing it to like multiple suits at any given time, and they need to be able to continue to do that in order to defend themselves.
Yeah, and then also that's its stun potential for fighting raids off too. So it's like a raid's coming at me. What do I do? Shoot my missiles. Okay, that failed. Overload and pew pew really quick, and hopefully they're stunned before they get to me, and then I knock them over, and then dump all my damage and cry because now it's down for a whole minute. Like, I mean, that's kind of the downside, right? Like, and
Mm.
then once it's down, you're just a general. You're just a Rick Deja without a shotgun at that point.
Yeah,
Or I'm sorry, you're just a Deja without a shotgun. And
there's no Rick there no more.
yeah, like, and you don't have a dodge roll either. So you have all the problems of being a Deja with none of the defensive maneuvers that the Deja has. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's kind of why the
how? How could
HML,
they?
despite it having a lot of like support issues, its biosensor making it more general like still has it come more in clutch than suits like this that just have like the baseline maneuverability because they don't have any of the other things that make a general a general. And that's still an issue when things start to get a little more hairy.
Speaking of the HML, I hopped into a game and saw like a S minus dude, and he was in the HML. And as soon as like the biosensor popped, he was just like, "Well, I'm gonna kill everybody now." Like, he just
You've
went
been
ultra instinct mode essentially on everybody because it's like I have the damage of a support, and now I'm pretty
fool.
much a general.
You have pushed me too far. Now taste true power.
But yeah. So Rick Deja needs something. Not sure if they want to give it more damage or what, but again, it feels like what they've done is they've tried to make the same thing as the Doga, right? So yeah, I don't know.
We're gonna be getting into that in a second. But all right,
Well,
what's next then?
I mean, we already covered the Doga. Oh wait, we're getting into the next Doga. Sorry, I was talking about
Yeah.
the quest. With the quest is what I was talking about.
Oh, the
It's like the
quest.
mass
Okay.
production Cubile. It has no defense, but it has crazy damage. The quest, and I know some people are saying the quest has damage, but the thing is, it has a lot of downtime. You have some good burst, but then you have like 25-second downtime on everything you got. And if you're not pinning, you're not hitting much. And like, I think somebody said I've hit 100k before, and I'm like, cool, 50 calls down on like, or yeah, 50 calls down, I can hit 180k. Like, 100k is not much to me, man, in support world. Like when you're doing good, like that's, I don't know, like 100k is
Yeah,
what I hit in the
that's just
best
you
worst.
getting. Yeah, I mean that's kind of your job more often than not,
Yeah,
and that
so
only scales up as you get further into cost. So like, it's kind of expected of you.
yeah, so just I don't know. I feel like the Quest Doga still has way weak damage for its cost range. And then so I feel like either they're gonna buff it with damage or they're gonna actually give it some utility. And
Mhm.
it'll either be mass production Cubelate 2.0 or they're gonna go in a different direction. And I feel like the Rick Deja is gonna be the same thing. They're either gonna make it even more damage, which is gonna be gross to follow up on people. You're just gonna one shot, or they're going to finally give it some kind of more defensive utility thing, which I don't know if they know what they can do for that, right? Without making it have a dodge roll or something. Because they've played around with it with things like the HML or the game lock or anything like that. So I feel like that's a big problem.
Yeah.
But then it was Christmas, and we got another support, which the picture isn't showing up for some reason. But yeah,
Oh
we got
no.
the Gyaradoga Heavy Arm.
Hell yeah.
Dude, that cannon.
The big dick on campus.
Having a weapons rack cannon that can heavy stun, and then also
And
have an
also
alternate
have
fire mode.
cluster bomb. Yeah, it's literally, and we were talking about it early on. It's literally just a walking tank.
Yeah.
It's got different options on its gun. Finally, we have a proper implementation of the beam machine gun while
Yes.
using its output and crazy range to good use.
As long as you can aim,
Having
you
an
have good
instance
damage.
done, yeah, having an instance done on the grenade as well. And also, for whatever reason, having regular grenades just in case you didn't want to let up at all. So pretty good maneuvering. You know, it's still just the Gyaradoga platform, just a bit heavier. I will say the ammo dumpsters on its back are kind of stupid. I know it's supposed to just denote that it's a support and literally where probably half of where the heavy part comes from, but
Yeah.
has decent boost. Can just kind of keep itself moving.
Yeah, that's what I was surprised. When I saw it had boost, I'm like, yeah, I can actually keep up with people. Let's go.
I'm assuming that the cable came from like the actual shield that initially came from it. It's a little weird that it doesn't have it. I guess just because it's support and you really shouldn't be doing shit like that, but that would have been cool. Just saying.
So what was the shield on it though? Because I don't know the lore of this thing.
Because it's also where it stowed away the sturms or whatever.
Oh, it had a what? Okay. Come on,
When we're
guys, give me
talking
more about
about
this.
like the no, when we're talking about the regular like Gyaradoga,
Oh,
right?
oh, yeah, the Gyaradoga stuff. Okay, gotcha,
Compared
gotcha. Okay.
compared to the heavy.
Oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
But yeah, overall, it was another contender for clan matches. Most of them are right. Like they try to keep them to scale with the actual costs and stuff, and they coincide. But some definitely become more prominent than others. This was a good one because of that heavy stagger. It did only have 3 shots, and it was a little slow in between, but it definitely had a lot more to do in those instances. Of course, this has support tax in which it kind of gets overwhelmed a little easily once things start to close in on it, especially if it doesn't have one of those heavy staggers ready. But because that cluster shot also spreads out, it's constantly able to do damage in like bigger, like clusterfucky kind of fights, which is definitely to its advantage. Um, I don't know if we're gonna really see it too much now, just because people have seen it to death during clans, and I think a lot of those sweat lords have kind of like learned the ins and outs of either playing it or just dealing with it.
Yeah.
I definitely haven't seen it as much since then,
I'm
but
still going ham with it, but
we'll see what happens. Because that was definitely an enjoyable one, and I think as more people get their hands on it, it'll probably be a good mainstay for its cost range.
also real quick on the Rick Dija, the grenades that it has that it shoots, same as a Zeta and for stun, and the HML is 50%. So you overload 3 shots will overheat you, but you'll stun a raid coming at you. Or if you just do 2 and you hit them with some of the grenades, probably the better thing to do. So you don't overheat, have to wait a minute to be able to do anything. And because also it's actually a minute, like it's like what 20 seconds to overheat. That's the other thing. If you accidentally overheat while your thing's going, by the time it's done, it won't get done first of all. And then when your skill ends, it'll just restart the timer at a minute that time, which really sucks. So
Fortunate.
yeah, so like you could end up with like a minute 20 seconds if you mess it up. So nothing from that gun. But anyway, with the Rick Deja, or sorry, with the Garadoga Heavy, the thing I really like about it is its cluster cannon has a high stun value actually, which is pretty nice. Um, and I'll actually find that here in a second. I'm trying to find it. I was trying to do it at the same time, but and my thing, I guess, my take on it though, the reason why I've been playing it a lot, it chunks. Like it's got some damage. Like the grenade it throws, the throwable grenade, it's for like 3.5k or something ridiculous. Like what?
Mhm.
I'm hitting for
Well, they
like,
have to have a payoff of some sort
I
because it's
mean,
like
yeah,
the slowest thing on the thing.
but it's still like when you get people clustered, you're just like, oh well, there's a dog pile there. Yeet, hold it.
There's some free damage.
Yeah. So that's really nice. The stun threshold, by the way, on its cluster shell is 60%. That's a big AoE 60% stun value. And the grenade itself, the hand grenade, is 60% as well. Um, I like how the heavy stagger is like stagger value question mark because it's a heavy stun.
Yeah, it's like no, it's just innately heavy
Yeah,
staggers, so it doesn't really
it
matter.
doesn't matter if it has one or not. And then the beam, of course, kind of sucks at 4%. So crappy Vulcan, but it does have a lot of damage, and you can actually utilize it, like you were saying, as a support doing the chunky damage. Whereas the normal Doga, you're just like, I'm plinking you to death with like 100 damage or something because it only does like 250, and you've got probably resist. So that's the
Yeah,
weird
like there
part.
were some instances where like that thing was doing like 390 and shit. It
Oh
was
yeah.
kind of ridiculous.
As soon as I was unloading and I was doing more than 400, I was like, what? Yes, please. So my thing is it has the same problems that the mass production Gyaradoga and the Rikdija have, except it does have a defensive mechanic, being its cannon, the FU cannon that can AOE heavy stun people. I just can't get over the AOE heavy stun. Like that is just that actually kind of makes that gross. It's so easy to hit, and you can hit more than one suit. I'm in
I
there.
don't know. Maybe this is just me being a general pleb, but I don't even consider it AOE. It's just it has splash.
Okay, splash. Either way. I don't know. I've gotten 3 stuns with 1 shot. So I'm just like, let me
There's the
downswing
stick.
you. Oh wait, the downswing is just a line straight in front of me, so I
There
can't.
he is.
I can only hit one.
Perfect.
Oh no. That's one of the problems though. Is it's downswing's just a line in front of it, and I'm just like, man. So you have to line it up to maybe hit those. Like I stunned all 3 of them. I'm like, uh. Oh, I only hit
Oh,
one of
oh,
you.
oh.
Please don't
You
hurt me,
cannot
other 2.
escape your own death.
But yeah. Has a lot of damage to throw out. Everything chunks. I think it's good just
Oh,
because of that. If you save the cannon for defense, even if there's a raid coming at you, you can use it. You can knock them over, and you can run away. And since it has such good thrust, you actually can get pretty good distance between you. Also, real quick, 2 things, I guess. Well, that's it. Anything else on the Doga heavy? Then we can get into patch notes proper.
don't sleep on it for sure. Also, if you see it at range, just plink it down. You're gonna have to play chicken with that heavy stagger, but once you get past that, you can bully it just
Oh,
fine.
I will say, at 550 against a Bawu, it feels good because you have like 33 based resist in your ranged resist, and if you up
Mhm.
those even just a little bit, you're just like, oh hey Babu, how's it going? Can't kill me, can you? In one volley. How does it
Oh,
feel
for
to?
the missiles or whatever.
Yeah, and then Rigazi's like, hold my beer, boom, and you're
Right.
dead
Like I got you.
because it literally has 0 melee.
My
So
thing with the Bawu, I know that the dump truck missiles are really fun, but like you literally have an instant stun shield that blasts down for a lot. You have beams that you can get like a consecutive stun with pretty easy. Like you should probably be doing other things with that suit at that point.
oh well, yeah, but I mean, when they're on the ground, normally it's like I get comboed to death, and then I'm on the ground. I'm like, no, please, and I just get vaporized by the missiles. But this is like one suit that's just like, ah, go ahead, you might destroy my legs, but you can't destroy me. And now I'll
Can't
heavy
destroy
stun
this
you.
heavy stagger.
Yeah, and then you heavy stun them when you stand back up if they don't run away and dodge enough. So I mean, that's my thing. It's like you got an actual defense against the Bawu, which was like king there for a while, and now we got just the Brigazee, which just
Bawu, poor Bawu, has
yeah.
kind of gotten like in the right hands. It's still very dangerous, but it's not quite the end all be all that it used to be when it first debuted.
Yeah, then now we got the Rigazee, which again I still think needs a nerf because I'm seeing it hit
Nah,
like
it's fine. It's fine. What do you
every
mean?
other
It's
game. It has
fine.
150k
No,
damage.
it's okay.
Dude, if I okay, I'd put money down right now that if they do any kind of
No,
adjustment to
it's
the suit,
good. It's
it's gonna
good
have
robot.
like 5 to 10% more damage than any other raid at cost.
Yeah, it's just because it can't boost near. It's okay. It's gonna stand still for some of its things, and
I'm not in the air
it
like
gets
at all when
bullied
I
a
play.
lot.
It's got to get out of the
Fine.
jail free.
No, it's
Eh,
okay.
it's OP.
Doesn't even have that much defense,
It's got
and
a
it
shield.
doesn't go over
It
20k
doesn't get
health at
stunned.
600.
It doesn't get
It
stunned when it
gets
breaks.
bullied a lot. Oh,
I need help.
poor Riggsy.
Okay. Anyway. Oh, dude. I just want to see the "you can't fly" meme now. Oh my gosh.
See, it can't fly and ain't shit.
Oh my
That's our
gosh.
evaluator now. It can't fly, man. It's not a big deal.
It's shit. Can't fly.
Ain't
Um,
shit, can't fly.
but anyway, before we get into the full patch notes, they decided to remind everybody that guess what? If you are
Mm.
being a dick in games and you're getting reported, they will destroy your account, get wrecked.
It's funny because Korez was asking like before the update too yesterday, like, "Oh, is permaban a thing in this game?" And I was like, "I think for reporting, but generally not for other stuff." And it's like, "No, no, no. If we find you fucking up, we're gonna throw you out this game."
They'll destroy you.
You better get up out of here. We're gonna do it for you. I was like, damn.
Yeah, like it's like, oh shit.
Like, oh shit. Okay.
And then they were also like, oh yeah, you're also false reporting.
You'll also get slapped upside
Nice.
your head. When you'll, eh.
Yeah. So yeah, they did that. Also, another thing here, if I can find it real quick, in the newsletter, man, did you read the bottom of the newsletter?
The ass end of it? No, what happened?
Also, they didn't put in the spectator mode yet. That's coming, I guess, for the Halloween event. Um, but also the bottom, I'll kind of just read over it a little bit. Hi, pilots. It's been a while for the last time I have talked in development. Okay, for real, the English translation one is worse than the actual Google translation.
They gotta get better at it.
I'm just
That's
saying
for sure.
because I literally put it in Google and it made more sense. But hi pilots, I've been a while from the last time I have talked. It's been a while since I've talked. Send a message. This is Kobe. Uh, development or it says in the thing it says Kanbei. I thought it was Kobe. But anyway, um, development director. Here is a new about changing. Okay, he's stepping down as the director. There you go.
Yeah.
And he did a long thing. Man, I can't even read this and like without just like I'm just gonna paraphrase. But it's been a good 4 years. Or it's been 4 years since the first release, and we're always trying to do better in our development team. I'm just gonna say do better instead of reinforcing and repositioning. Oh, Oda the man appeared in Oda the man.
Oda the
Okay,
man.
maybe this is a little bit fun. In third anniversary streaming and contributor to the development message. Apparently, Oda's the one who came up with the spectator mode.
Okay.
And it says will be the new director, which I was kind of confused because, but yeah, I'm guessing Oda's the new director. Um, from that line. But yeah, he's been the director since the previous GBO, for 2 years, and the next director at that time, then 3 years for GBO2 because he passed it on apparently for GBO as well, and then 3 years in GBO2, making that 6 years of development for these games. Now passing on to the next person, and then eventually he talks about Oda and what he's done and how he's helped, and that he's actually been working on it for the adjustment on New Gundam and Sazabi were mostly worked on by the new development team. So that did they just switch teams entirely now? And like Kobe's team is moving on?
Maybe, and it from the way you were talking about it before, it seems like this isn't the first time they've done it for GBO, let alone
Yeah.
GBO2. So, it may also be just because they're covering other games. GBO2 is obviously not the only thing
Does this mean
that the
GBO3
studio
confirmed?
handles.
GBO3 confirmed?
Um,
Huh?
it does make me wonder if they get into GBO3. I'm sure they're going to use a lot of this as foundational stuff,
Yeah.
but it does make me wonder how much of the team will be the same if they get into something like that.
But then he does do the thing of like, well, I will off from the development. Ah, why? I'm just gonna paraphrase this. While I'm off from the development, while I'm stepping down, or I may be stepping down from the development team, but I will see you in GBO2 as a pilot. There we go. That's my
Yeah.
paraphrase of that. Ugh. Well, I will off.
I forget if Oda's the dude with the hat or not, or if it's somebody else.
And then apparently the next one though is I guess he's is it Oda Fujiyama or Fujiyama Oda? Producer and long time from last time.
Long time from the last time. On the one time.
Like Kobe here is a new about changing producer. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Oh, Fujiyama is gonna swap out producing it? Maybe?
So, like, just roll. I think it's just a roll change. because I
Producer
think
Fujiyama. Yeah, okay,
at least
producer.
for a little bit, someone else is covering the newsletter before, like compared to the last person, and that was like the one thing that I thought that they were mentioning when they were reading that. Now that you're reading that out loud, I was like, oh, okay. I thought that's actually what they were talking about.
Yeah, so there's actually
But
two of them. Oh, the new producer will be Kasahara. Okay.
mm,
Interest.
yeah, I mean, it all depends on like how new they actually are, or if it's just general rule changes or whatever. But
Well, I think this kind of explains what happened though too with the anniversary event because they're saying they pretty much did the anniversary, so this should be the banners and the rewards for the anniversary. We did kind
mm,
of comment on how it was a little bit different with some reused and it was kind of shorter. I think that's why because it was literally a different team.
yeah,
Okay.
or at least they're in the middle of like transitioning or whatever.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Okay. Well, that makes some sense. That's kind of cool. I might put a little extra topic on the video to look that out. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's not uncommon for another team to come in on a game at some point and pretty much
Like,
be the crew that keeps it together while it's dying, though sadly is normally how that works, but I don't know
yeah.
exactly how that's worked in Japanese game development. So maybe that's maybe they're doing something different. But
Well, the bigger thing is that they were saying look forward to year 4. We're in it,
yeah,
right? There definitely still has some other IPs to go. We're definitely gonna get a fair amount of stuff for the holiday season. But if we don't start hearing more stuff come like spring or early summer, then we're gonna get into a territory where we very may well see them start wrapping up. And it'll be curious because a lot of people are like, well, they just got the uh the new client and stuff.
yeah,
So like maybe they'll keep going. And I could still see that, but it also depends on if they want to move on to maybe a next situation. It also depends on whether or not Gundam Online is going to keep going because that's an even older game
yeah.
for their PC JP end. I don't think Evolution's going to usurp both at the same time. If it does, then that's insane. And
Just
I
a little
really
bit.
hope, and I really hope that they have something else as a follow up at that point, because otherwise Gundam is going to dry up very quickly. Because SRW30 will technically count, right? Because there are some Gundam IPs in there, but it's not specifically a Gundam game. It's not another G generation or something like that.
Right.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how things progress within maybe the next like year or two or so.
But yeah, my question is, did they say anything? Because I haven't noticed, so I'm going with I I haven't seen anything. But anything about next anniversary? Because they say year 4, but they haven't said,
Yeah, they
like
haven't
last
said
time
anything
they were
about.
like, see you next anniversary kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I'm like, wait a minute, changing, maintenance crew, keeping it going, you
It's a
know,
possibility. It may also be because they didn't really know
yeah,
at that point because of the crew changes. We talk about it a lot. There's this very big overlying idea of like I don't think they ever thought that this rendition of the game was going to be this big from like having as much of a following on the JP side or even having like a global release happening.
yeah,
And we saw some rumblings of that for Gundam Online when they got rid of the region lock, and we're like, oh, maybe they're gonna do the same thing there, and then that didn't happen, right? They kind of pulled
right,
back, and they're just kind of maintaining the game. But they're still pushing it. They're still pushing it for GBO2. Technically, the spectator mode also, in terms of like getting back on topic for some of the update stuff, is something that I think the event that it was tied to hasn't happened yet, and a lot of people are like, well, what's going on with that? And it's like, well, it's either partially implemented or it hasn't been fully rolled out for everyone else.
yep.
So I'm not actually super sure on that. But I wonder if that in and of itself um, was kind of on the back burner until the new team came out, just because it was a holdover for them trying to push this as a MLG top game, whatever, esports ready, as she likes to joke,
Yeah,
kind of situation.
it's kind of funny because they really were pushing the esports part of the game, and then COVID hit, and then now that they're finding ways they can do it with spectator mode. I mean, that's happened with a lot of games. Really, is they've sometimes find an online competitive scene. The cool thing about that is it means if they host it and they can do well enough, maybe cough gets a better netcode. We can actually see one overseas as well,
Or a lot of
like
people are saying, in
or
terms of the better netcode,
worldwide.
means having to like just have a whole new game
Yeah,
at
I mean
that point.
that's the biggest thing. But I mean, they could try to improve it a little bit, and also that would be cool if they decided to do like, hey, you made it in the top 10, you're invited to come participate if your clan wants to, kind of thing, right?
Hmm.
Which
It
is
seems
what I
like
was
the
talking
event
about
that they're
way
doing
ago.
right now is essentially just like a bunch of JP streamer personalities and several people from like the GBO2 VTuber kind of situation.
Yeah.
We're just like getting in there. I will say, I don't know, outside of maybe like some of the top clan groups that tend to stream, if they really have people that are on the same scale. Definitely not on the same scale, but maybe with the same level of community importance as like Spy Gear, or the other guy that they had do the beta stuff before Evolution when they were trying to show off the game. That's something that they never really gained for this game. Mostly because I think it's still, even though they tried to make it competitive, it's ultimately just another gacha game.
Yeah. So
But like Valorant and Apex still have a very strong scene in Japan, and that's primarily what those two play. So this being a shooter already makes it more up their alley, which means that they can probably have a easier scope on bigger streamers to have like push the game itself, as opposed to just having a bunch of smaller fry to like sit through and just hope that they can push them for SummerSlam or whatever. So we'll see what happens in terms of other Gundam games once Evolution drops, because I think that's gonna be the bigger determining factor right now. Is just how much energy and resource they put into that and how well it sticks,
yeah,
as to whether or not they'll just keep trying to strike while the iron's hot and all that.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious either way, and yeah, I want to get into evolution too. Not gonna lie, it looks kind of fun, even though it is kind of one of those. Looks like they're fitting a skin to it, kind of like Pokemon Unite.
Mhm.
Like, hey, here's a Pokemon MOBA.
Yeah, I mean it is, but all you guys are still playing it, so like,
I mean, it's still. I mean, I'm a MOBA addict. Yeah, MOBA
yeah,
addict. So yeah,
it's having another excuse is just like, fuck it, let's go.
play MOBA. Yes, huh? MOBA, MOBA,
MOBA.
MOBA, MOBA. But yeah. Let's see. Seeing complaints of meleeing problems with the Messala, especially the downswing on somebody that's already knocked down.
Yeah, it's a little rough. Like I was saying before, it has a lot of momentum, but it doesn't have a lot of hitbox.
Yeah.
And also, it's very hard to tell what the fuck you're hitting sometimes because
Why would that be?
you had the big old back binders
Uh,
on there.
just
So
look where you're going.
it's just a little weird to see what the hell you're doing, right?
Just look at your
Yeah,
screen, lol.
moving. What are you looking at while you're playing, lol? It's right in front of you, man.
It's right over there. There it is.
So yeah, cool suit. Definitely has a lot of utility. They need to touch it up a little bit in the size department.
First person mode
This is
win.
this is something that we bitched about, or at least I bitched
Oh
about when
yeah.
it came to Cubulate and then
I mean,
Palace Athene. Palace Athene, they actually did the adjustment for, right? They actually made the camera be a little bit above it and like centered it differently, and that actually worked. They did not do that for the Keyblade. The Keyblade has the opposite problem where it's wide but also low to the ground because it's a smaller suit vertically. So your camera clips into the wall a lot when you're backing up. It tends to get caught on weird corners because technically it doesn't have the same clearance height as other suits, which also means because its main weapon is based in its hand, that it tends to hit hills and shit. So there's the whole reticle versus physical positioning of the weapon situation happening with that. The Messala gets to circumvent a lot of that just because of its sheer size. If anything, it has the opposite problem, like we were talking about before, because the shoulder cannons now are too high. And this motherfucker does not have gimbal, so it's not breaking its back to like aim down, even though it probably could just because of how weirdly flexed and like posed it is when it's moving and doing things. So there's gonna be a lot of times where people get on the inside or get on weird angles near you where you can't use that as an immediate like instant stun retort, and that's also an issue.
Yeah. Also, another thing too, I will say I was complaining about this with Hygog back in the day. I just thought of my meme of the high Cublegog with how Emblem painted it like Cubele.
The Hygog was like the prototype for all those issues, right? Because that's an even smaller suit than the Keyblade. Keyblade at least has fucking legs. The Hygog has like little frog flippers for feet.
Frog flippers for feet. Oh my gosh, dude. I
It's
don't know.
got all that
I don't know
minus the
whether
leg
to
length
laugh or
for the
be
hop. It
slightly
just can't
insulted
hop.
for it.
It's just flapping his feet up and down and somehow moving, and I don't understand how that mobile suit works. It
Flop,
should
flop,
probably just
flop.
pull itself along by its claws instead. Like, what is wrong with this
Dude, I'm
robot?
so glad they have the side dodge roll where it does the like.
I like it, except that much like other dodge rolls, the iframes they do nothing.
Yeah.
There's too much wind up on the roll. So like I'm moving physically, I'm kind of dodging, except latency and shit is still like, well, that counted. Really? Am I still rolling? Yeah. Did I get iframes yet? No. Well, fuck.
Re.
Shit. On an unrelated note to the podcast, but something I feel like I should mention. If you use the new verification tools for email or phone numbers, make sure that you verify your bots because otherwise they're not going to be able to do things. I was wondering why my auto connector on my auto event for shoutouts wasn't working, and I think that's why.
Um. But yeah. So going into the rest of the patch notes here, we got the normal suit.
It's green.
No, that was the last one.
Oh,
This was just Titans one. But I did get it. I did get it. The suit exists. Normal suits
yeah.
exist. And I got the helmet. It
E.
it wasted my tokens, so I didn't get to
Damn.
try on the Messala. But I got it last week. I finally got the closest thing probably we're gonna get to green. Now watch next week they come out with an actual green
Straight up
suit, and
actually
I'm like,
green. Like, fuck.
bruh, bruh.
No. Why does it gotta be this way?
But yeah. So there's that. Gapsley level 3 is now in the lottery. No banner though.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was no side banner.
Yeah. So
It was a very barren. And had they done that 2 weeks in a row? I don't think the Doga had a side banner either, did it?
nope. So
Now talking about the new team, and role shifting and stuff, I wonder if that is gonna be an indicator of them doing things differently. Like, I
yeah.
wonder if we have. Maybe it's only because there was only one suit being boosted at a time, and maybe they just do it for like when it's multiple. So we'll have to
Possible.
see. We'll have to see next week
Well, no, we
because
did
I
get
feel like,
the Zaku 3 Kai. So
because
that was a
I was
banner.
gonna say I feel like they tend to do They tend to do those a lot more often. So that's a little weird that they're tapering that off. Because mostly, and if we're going back on the subject for a second, sorry, I know I'm tangenting, but like
Downtime is tangent.
the idea of them maintaining the game, I've noticed with Gundam Online that typically means there's a lot of recurring banners. They're not afraid to just barf assets or resources at you. Typically they become more generous towards the end, just to kind of have like some good like player goodwill or whatever. So I wonder if them holding out is because they know that they're just gonna have a really big holiday lineup. And I wonder if them becoming more generous into the spring summer will be an indicator for the game being closer to an end. Like I feel like noticing that kind of pattern might give us a better idea, especially since this is on the heels of Genshin having been blasted thoroughly for having a really shitty anniversary event. And people joking about re-downloading other gacha games, including, by the way, Breaker Mobile, because it has a better event according to them, or as far as they're concerned.
Oh yeah, that's another game I played was Genshin. I got back into that for a little bit. Now I'm kind of like I still need to finish the story, but oh well, I can do that anytime.
Also, side note, one thing I didn't notice until I was playing offline or off stream, the controller likes to make noise when it comes to the game noise, and I forgot to turn it off on Ginny, so I'm hearing it now.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait,
For the
what?
PS5.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
I have to fix that when I'm out of this match.
But anyway, with the patch notes, this is my favorite thing in the patch notes. Maybe,
Oh yeah,
maybe some of the buffs, but this is
we're
probably
that's gonna
uh,
be its own beast in a second.
yeah, but this is my favorite thing in the patch notes. I think overall, even more than my one of my favorite suits. Period, getting buffed. The launch battle sortie preview thing of the next cost before you go, so you know whether to come back 4 hours later or not.
You could have just said sortie schedule. What the hell is it?
I
What
don't
did you just say?
I don't know, sortie schedule. Yeah, it's a sortie schedule, but
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Was that what it said in the fucking notes? Did
no,
they
it
just
says
do some weird English
next
thing?
available game rule can be checked when choosing rating/quick.
So
I'm blaming that on
apparently
me being tired.
there was apparently like a quick like patch or something that happens like after the initial banner drop,
Yeah.
and it was in relation to that. I don't know if it was displaying an extra thing to when it wasn't supposed to, but some people were noticing, especially when it was only 3 things scheduled, that there was like an off slot that just wasn't filled, and I think it was just because they had that as a filler. But I do kind of wonder what the adjustment itself was.
Well, when you would go into customs, a thing would also pop up. And I was like,
Oh,
what?
well,
What
that's a
was
little
that?
weird.
So I needed to go back and check that, see what that was, but I caught that on
The
stream.
custom thing should be about the replay.
Yeah, but that's not in yet, so
Yeah,
maybe that's what that was. Maybe they're just getting rid of it because it's not supposed to show up
technically
yet.
not implemented yet. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, being able to see the next stuff though is amazing. That's my point. I'm so hyped about it. I didn't know how to say the words or just read it. Like that is how hyped I am for this because now, like, I get on, the time just changed. Now I got 2 hours, and I look and I'm like, never mind, I'm coming back in 4 hours. Okay. Because especially if I'm rating climbing and it's, like I'm not streaming that day or something and I'm just checking just to see what it is, I look and I'm like, because I always, when I rating climb, I got to look for, of course I got my suit, but I got to look for the cost, I got to look for the map, and I got to look for all of it. And if it's not there, nope, coming back later. So this is great. Shows the
Oh my
entire
god.
daily schedule. Please.
So the interesting thing is that initially when I was seeing this change, I was like, that's really cool. This is something that we probably should have from the beginning. And yet at the same time I was like, I don't know if this is gonna change sortie behavior in people. And so far it seems like it hasn't slowed things down, which is like the bigger thing that I
Yeah.
was afraid of, is that people are really gonna hold out and get specific ones. But I think much like everything when you're a grown ass person, time is always against you.
Yeah.
So if anything, this is just people evaluating: should I really wait? Do I have the time to wait, or should I just suck it up and deal with what I got compared to what's coming up?
Yeah.
And in that regard, it's probably means that these guys are kind of sorting in the same way that they normally would, especially if they're just like on a schedule themselves. So right now, at least so far, it hasn't really changed much. On space specific days like today too, I was a little bit surprised by that. But I think that's just because you kind of got to do it. There's just things you need if you want your Gundam buck. So
But yeah, I like it. Good. But yeah, the time thing is definitely. I didn't think about the queue, like if it would actually worsen it. I didn't even think that, that didn't like.
I think it also just kind of goes to show that like a lot of people don't really think about it that hard.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain level of cynicism where it's like from 1 hour to the next, people are still going to be bad, so I might as well just do with what I got.
Yeah. But anyway, let's see what else we got. The premium login bonus. Did you see these yet? Look at those.
I damn it, I looked at it and then I forgot what the suit is.
EXS is the first one,
Yeah. Okay,
which is kind of cool. So there's your definitely got to
there's
pay money. And
your
the other one,
big dumpy general pseudo support.
I mean, this one's pretty stacked. It's got the EXS, then the Zeta C1
That's pretty
level
good.
1, the second section of the month, and then the Regelgu in the third, which I don't think I have the level 1, so that'd be nice to get for like a
Mm.
free suit. So there's the potential one you can get for free is the Regelgu. That's pretty nice. But
The Galgu is definitely the middling one
oh yeah,
compared to the other two.
yeah. The other two are like definitely top
EXS
tier.
has a lot of shenanigans you can do. I know a lot of people are very lukewarm on it, but it has a lot of utility. The transformation is kind of hard to contest sometimes. Um, as long as you understand the pacing of the weapons and don't try to like full on stamina or bonga it, you should be all right. Unless you're really good with your shoulders and your charge shot, in which case, bunga away in between all that because people are just gonna get even more mad at you.
Yep. It is one of those that I would say has a bit of a skill cap too, because the people that do really well with it do really well with it. So I see it hit like 180k sometimes, and then I just see it be like, what are you even doing, man? What you just you're on the
How'd you
ground.
get
Oh,
in
you
this? Thing?
did.
Who gave that to you? The game has cursed you. The hell.
But then in the ticket shop, we got a bunch of high level stuff you should probably save your tickets on. And
Baller.
then pretty much the Stamen, the GPO4 level 3, Stamen level 3, and the Zagaki level 4. But we were talking about earlier, Bawu level 1 and 2. And level 1 starts at 355 tickets. Okay. Oh gosh.
Tokens. Oh my god. We just have
355
straight up
tickets.
token values.
Oh no. But yeah, 355 tickets. Yeah, that's not bad for that, really. So pretty good. Can recommend the Bawu. The others, I would say save it. But Bawu level 1 for sure. Level 2, maybe not as much, but still
Oh.
can do some work. But level 1 is pretty good. It's still probably top 3, maybe top 2, but it's definitely up there. It was the king. Um, Anything else for the Babu Gustav? I mean, we really talked about it earlier, so there's not much to say.
No. Like it's still good. Still good. Now we talked down about it a little bit, and there's certain things that can counteract it, but if you want just an all around, I don't know kind of raid that is very comparable to a lot of different things, that suit will help you figure shit out in terms of what you favor and like. So definitely don't overlook it. It's a good option. I wouldn't say it's super crazy at its upper bound in terms of how far it goes in level, but
Yeah.
at its regular release rate, the level 1 and 2s are fine.
In the DP store, we have the BD2 and 3 level 4, which is cool, I guess. But then we got the Marasai level 1 and 2. Let's go, dude. So yeah, personally, I think with the Fedayeen rifle, it's the prototype. With the 1 second charge time now, where it's just whoop, boom, it has pierce, it does great damage. So you got some good range that you can do. You can also just pop people for just some decent chunk damage if you want. You got a sea serpent, and then you got 2 melees in that case. I like it. You got striker things you can do. You got if you full charge real quick, if they're not looking at you and you're gonna pop somebody in the side, as long as they're not looking head on, you just do and then walk up, sea serpent, and then smack, smack, downswing, 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 and have fun. Like I think the Marasai is a very like overlooked general at both of its costs for both 1 and 2. And I've seen some really gross Marasai players. I think the only downside is its damage,
Mm.
which if you get good piercing shots, which is a big ask, but when you do get them, I mean, you're chunking for like you get a raid for like 4 to 6K or something like that. I can't remember how much it is, but I just remember full charge that you just goodbye raid.
Just done so.
Yeah, if you manage to hit them with the sea serpent after, they're just like you're like, oh, really goodbye raid. But yeah, I don't know if you've done anything with the Marsai, but that's I mean, it's in the DP store, so anybody can get it if they can afford the rank, which I'll look up right now. But yeah, what are your thoughts on it? Because I think it's definitely people underestimate that suit a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna see more of it now that it's a bit more available, but it'll be interesting to see. I feel like it's another one of those suits where people who have taken the time to get into it are very obnoxious in it. So
Yeah. Oh, luckily, since it is a 2-star, Master Sergeant 1. Let's go, dude.
E.
That's actually really easy to buy. Cool. Okay, now we got the clan match stuff in the clans, dude. So, what did you
Yeah.
want to bring up about the wonkiness of clan matches? Because I know you mentioned that,
So
and I
it's
was intrigued.
4v4. It's the usual evening battle kind of thing, except here's the problem. It's 4v4, but it's not simple battle this time.
Wait,
It's
what?
fucking basic match. So it's 600.
Wait,
It's still
we have 2 back-to-back late night
yeah.
ones. They're giving us 2.
Wait, what do you mean? What in the schedule?
The schedule says we got 2 9
Is the
p.m.
next one
Pacific.
2100 again? Like after this one coming up?
Yeah, it says Simple
That's
Battle
weird.
600 4v4 twice. Only this one's Ruin City
Interesting.
instead of Resource Cell. Are they gonna?
I guess
Is the
I
new
didn't look
team gonna
ahead
give
for
us
that
2
one.
and 2? I didn't read this when I did the patch notes thing because I was like, yeah, we get 1, cool. This is our 1. It's in space.
Yeah.
But
Which
next,
again lines up with their typical MO of the first one, which means we're back to top 3 again.
but still, if I'm
Ooh,
checking this in game. Yeah, basic 600 resource 4v4. What? Dude, if we have 2,
is the
if it
next
goes
one
2 and
is the one
2,
after this simple battle at least?
yeah, the next one's Simple Battle on Ruin City 600.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's still gonna be a top 3, but that's another evening battle, so you can try to get in there at least hit top 100.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. Okay, I can dig. If they do 2
Unless,
and
and
2, that would be cool.
I'm still holding out the possibility because I still think simple battle for 4v4 is really weird. It's definitely one of the tighter space maps for it, right? Because there's less of a maze to get to the base on either side.
Yeah.
So you can literally just you push A, you get A, and then you start moving towards base. And what we did in our final practice match, before tonight, because I think they're actually practicing right now, um, was that we were just there blasting down the base intermittently between like skirmishes.
Oh yeah, you know what? You know what? It's 600 cost. You know what that means?
Oh god, he's gonna try to push balance again.
It's the Zeong cheese.
Oh no.
Oh, I've waited for this moment. Okay, anyway.
This is true though. We
In a
actually did
4v4, I can
have as
kite
the
three.
when we were doing some practice against like some of the sweatier groups that were showing up, because something about us doing clan match practice in Publix, like once we open it up, a bunch of S minus people start showing up,
Oh my gosh.
and like when people in OIG and some of those dudes
Oh,
just kind
dude.
of just show up and like just stomp our dicks flat, and I'm just like, what is happening? What's going on? How did you guys what?
So this is new types. Okay.
Yeah, which is kind of cool because sometimes we split ourselves up amongst like the other groups when we have too many people for like just one team, and then you just get to see like the difference in pacing, and like, it's night and day sometimes. It's really crazy. Like you at that point you're just struggling to keep up with the rest of your team, and like I'm contributing, and then notice that you're like still getting top marks. And it's like how what?
You know, it's one of the funny things too, like with just a lot of competitive games in general, when you get to that point, like the 0.1%, the 0.01%, and then the 0.001% is
Mhm.
each one is kind of like a night and day difference in how well they play the game, and it's just actually kind of ridiculous each step. Even though like the point one is like you're like, yeah, I've made it. I'm on the I'm at near the top of the mountain, but it's like each step is just so much higher to get to the next step.
There's also, at least in this game, there's a very big difference between like your average pub A plus and your clan A plus kind of
Yeah.
situation when they're like actually doing competitive stuff. Um, because after a certain range, and I think the range that we talk about is typically A minus itself, like contributing to the average part of the score doesn't really like scale that much after that. It's like diminishing or like non-existent. So we've actually had groups that are still like A average while having like B plus people and stuff in them, just because they have like an A or a couple A's or A pluses in there to skew it. So
So real quick though, I am gonna do this. Time to grab my tinfoil hat and put it on a little bit. Let's set it on nice and tight.
oh no.
Um, so real quick, I do have this theory because I mean, it has some actual evidence that this could be a thing. So it's not crazy. I'm crazy, but that's beside. The way the queue works is if your connection sucks, right? You get put in a queue with other people whose connections are really bad. Normally 2 bars less, or wherever that mark is in the 3 bar thing that puts you in that queue. And if you look, everybody's kind of there. Now sometimes your connection is lying to you. You look at it and you're just like, you're lying, Morgan. But yeah. Anyway, but when it's actually accurate, you'll find those games where either people are invisible, people are doing weird things, like people are like just nonstop planting the bomb or running into a wall, or I have no clue
Mhm.
what sometimes. And you're like, what is this? And you'll run into this even when you're around A plus. Like back when it was just A plus and I was around there, I was just like, what is this? These people, like, this guy should have just meleeed me. I should be dead right now. What's going on? He just what? And I'm just wondering though if there's like this secret queue where it's all these bad connections that are playing, and there's just like when you're playing and all of a sudden you get somebody that's just like, how are you even here, kind of thought. Because some people actually ask like, I don't know how this guy's even here. He's not doing this or doing that, and it's like that is kind of like a. And I wonder if it's just literally there's this bad connection queue where they've been fighting against everybody and their connection just got good enough to throw them in with everybody else. And then it's just like, they've been playing a completely different game.
Yeah, well, it's like we joke a lot about PS5 versus PS4 performance too, right? Just
Yeah,
raw hardware performance, and like how I think it was a Junkyard Jack earlier today was talking about like someone in his chat got their PS5 recently. He's like, now set everything up, play that game, and then wonder how you ever played it on like sub 30.
right.
And so there's two layers at that point, and JP players have always bitched just as much as we have about the latency and
Wi-Fi
other like
warriors.
goofy connections and shit. Yeah. So it's definitely not a foreign concept.
And yeah, I think there's just essentially a Wi-Fi queue and a Wi-Fi rated ladder that just exists that not many people get to see a lot of times. But I don't know. That's just my theory. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Watch us find out that it's not true. But like at the same time,
I
it's one of those things where
I mean they do separate it though, so I'm kind of like I don't know. I feel like there is something there.
that'd be interesting to hear them talk about though. Because in terms of connections, because that's something that's always the elephant in the room, right? Whenever they do update posts on Twitter, half of the people are like, "Why don't you change your penalty system? Because not everyone has good connections." It's like, no
Speaking
one's
of which,
still a problem that you have potato shit. I know IPs are strained because of the pandemic, but fuck off.
well, I will say though, speaking of which, and I've also been sending anybody who has a clip of just disconnecting in the game and it actually being a proper like you've got some other proof of doing something else like streaming just
Mhm.
fine or talking in chats at the same time. I've got an example most recently of Saab getting a week penalty because the game just was like nope in the
Yeah, he
middle of
had
playing.
DC'd like twice, I think, in one stream,
Yeah, and
or like
then
in
the next
concurrent
time,
streams.
he first game penalty again.
Yeah,
So that
he got like penalty one and was like gone for a week.
yeah, so luckily he got penalty 2 and got it over in one game and was good. So yeah, but I've been sending that to them. Anything that anybody can send me, I'm gonna make a compilation and just throw that up on Twitter and at them be like, come on, what is going on here? Like
Yeah, like give it up at
my
this point. Figure it out.
WTF clips.
Because like the reporting aspect is still important. Like that shouldn't be taken out subsequently
Right.
along with this, but
Well, I would
the
say
actual leaving part, especially when you're specifically in game, shouldn't be a thing.
yeah, like the other thing is with the reporting, I don't think they need to have the penalty system that they have currently for the where it catches you automated. The automated penalty system, I think they could get rid of that because if they are checking, they could just hand out penalties based on what they're checking and
Mhm.
give us more points to lose because they finally decided to implement losing points. If they just make us lose a whole game's worth like every other game does, when it has any kind of thing where you can't join back and they count it that you've left instead of actually DCing, make people just lose the entire game at that point, right? And you lose your 10 points instead of like -7 for your next game, which isn't even a full loss.
When it just like punishes you for queuing up again afterwards, which is weird.
Yeah, so and the thing is, it's not even a full loss, so it's not even like people are like, well, this is better than losing 10 points plus whatever my rival thing is,
Yeah,
right?
except that unless you get your dick stomped, then
Yeah, but I mean, they get stomped twice, so they're.
yeah, so you get double stomped.
But I mean, it's better than losing. Like they think it's better than losing 34 if they lose 24.
No.
And I mean, that's kind of the mentality there. But then they're also picking up those penalties, and then so yeah. I mean, those guys get wrecked anyway. But I'm glad that they're actually doing the point thing. But now, if they just up it to the 10 or whatever the base loss is, and that's what you get, then get rid of the automated penalty system and then just do it yourselves. If somebody's being a dick, penalty 1. They're being a dick again, penalty 2. They're being a dick again, get completely wrecked.
And it's interesting because they had that warning message or whatever at the end or during the notes itself, which makes it sound like they're very active, and yet they're still using this automation. So it's just like, I guess, just for the sheer scale of the game on the JP side, because people are like, oh yeah, it's just dead in the West, and it's like, yeah, the category is not very active and stuff, but like, you still have like hundreds of people watching it over on YouTube and shit. like regardless. And like that category isn't as consistent as other things across the day, but prime time hours still draw a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think as far as just community around this game is pretty solid. Like, I don't know, it feels like it's just people really want to group around the game. So I see it. I don't know. I just wish the devs would.
Mhm.
But hmm.
But yeah, I mean, outside of just doing things more manually, which I don't know, maybe that'll be a change with some of the staff change or on the team change or whatever. But I feel like a lot of those people at DC, if they want to put more legitimacy into the reporting, I think they need to be more transparent about how many they're eating and not just
Yeah,
warning people that it's a thing. Because that's another layer of cynicism that people say in my chat and stuff sometimes too. Like they don't do anything
don't really
just
do
because
anything.
you're reporting. It's like it doesn't matter. It's like all right, that's cool. Then just do nothing and just bitch instead of win, I guess.
Yeah, that yeah, I find that happens a lot too. Um, let's. But yeah, back to the clan stuff. Tangent, sort of. At least it's about the game. Um, but yeah, that one triggered me a bit going into the connection thing because I'm just like I'm so annoyed that there's so many people. I don't know how many people you've had to go back to it real quick, but I've had a lot of people be like, I've got a penalty too, and every time I can actually play the game, it just DCs. So I pretty much can't play the game anymore. And I mean, I know that's internet scuff things, but that's also like why. But like, yeah, my internet scuff. So I can't do things sometimes like when I'm hosting community matches. Sometimes it's just like, nope, we're gonna yeet everybody. Somebody else needs to host, right? Like whatever that is doing. Like that's got to be my connection, right? Like remember, oh my gosh, Gundam versus. There we go. Oops.
Yeah.
But yeah, in beyond, like I just couldn't during the beta. I couldn't play with the host.
Yeah, and I mean that's
So
been a constant issue with that game. Because you had those moments where it's like, oh, this dude's lagging a lot, and then like the host is like, he plays fine with me. It's just your connection, and it's just
yeah,
this dumb back and forth because it's fucking peer to peer,
yeah, and that's
and they just think that that's acceptable, and it's like it's not. You need to not do that
well,
anymore.
right.
Please act like you're in the proper year.
Or even if you're doing peer to peer, like actually do it right. Saying,
There's no right way. The right way is to not to use it.
ha, fair enough. But let's okay. Back to the clan suit. Let's do the clan suit now. So we kind of mentioned it before, but that was before the podcast. Okay. Uh,
Yeah,
Goof heavy arm. Only in the translation it says heavy duty. Um,
yeah. Heavy duty is also like the thing for it.
yeah. So Goof, heavy arms general. Why is it not a support? We've already got a general 300 Goof. Come on.
I
And
don't
we've got
know.
one that
Putting the support
flies.
tax on this with its lack of like kit would be a little scary.
I guess, but
Now that being
be a
said,
lower
they
cost
are
best
talking
worst.
about it having, the Isaac situation where it does have like a camera or like a spotting function on it.
Yeah, that looks
So
pretty
it
cool.
seems like it's gonna be fitting for that role, and it is a little weird. But we also have the Zaku Recon as a precedence for that.
Yeah, that's fair. But it
So what
says
are
it
you gonna do?
utilizes strong armor and while leaping a distance. What?
And not sure what that's about.
What does that mean? But looks like it's short to medium range combat, which kind of is a little scary. But if it's tanky enough, then you just do a bunch of pew pew. Hopefully that stuns at an acceptable level, and then you
Again,
heat rod. I'm guessing it has. Now that question is which heat rod does it have? Does it have the whip or does it have the
I would
like
assume the
custom?
whip. It probably doesn't have the cable.
Yeah, like if it has the whip, that'll be pretty awesome because they just buffed that pretty hard. And if it has the same stats as the raid one, look out raids.
Yeah.
You're
I
gonna get
hope they
clapped.
don't scale it down. I hope they don't like, oh, it's a general, it can't do as much. It's like, no, 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 no.
No, no, no.
You're already limiting its basic range shit, and you're not making it a support to make up for it. So like, either it can fucking melt with that whip, or it's gonna be in trouble a lot of the time. Especially since it's not even like a flight type or anything. Like
Right.
you could kind of get away with the hand Vulcans with the test type because you had at least some sort of buffer between you and the other players, right? Like they were constantly getting ticked at, and they were kind of sweating when the cumulative stun was going to happen. If they couldn't focus you out of the air, then they had to deal with what was in front of them instead. But in this case, you're just on the ground with them, just kind of flopping around. So
Yeah, I'm really wondering is the Vulcan hands gonna be like just the toot 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 kind of thing, or is it just gonna, or is it actually gonna be faster, like like really fast?
like I actually got to make it like the gun, like the busters on the standard armor or something like
Like
that.
that could be cool. If like they're really fast, let's go, dude. Camera, have that, have the whip, get that big damage. That would be awesome. If it's that, then
That'd be amazing.
we in there. Like I definitely want it.
Just dock it down and then down whip like. Sure.
But yeah, anything else for the goof heavy arms?
I just really want to see it in action. Anyone who's in the top 3 clans on average, let us know if you're streaming so
Yeah.
that we can spy on you and see how this thing runs.
Yes, please. Because again,
Um,
oh, good.
I don't know if what's his name? They do this in GCH. They usually stream sometimes.
Yes, I don't remember his
Uh,
name, but I know who you're talking about.
some Emma was talking about him playing less or just not streaming as much, which is a bit of a shame. But normally he would be our insight for that because GCH is typically still in the top 10 running.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays it would probably be like either OIG or Leaf. So I don't know. I have to keep an eye out. Probably
Okay.
on the YouTube side to see if any of those guys snap it up over the weekend. Because we're still gonna probably be a pretty good contender for top 100, but like getting top 3, unless everybody just sleeps on this one because of the weird mode typing
Yeah, right.
and because of the time that it's being run. I don't know about that. Maybe once we get the top 10, since they're doing another weird like evening thing, if that starts to become more common. But otherwise, I'm just happy that we hit top 40 last time, and
Yeah.
even if it was
Congrats,
literally just
congrats, by the way.
40th place.
Yeah. I will say though, since it is top 3, I'm excited for the suit. I want to see it. I kind of just showed the next thing on the screen a little bit, but I am super hyped for the symbol. So I'm really hoping we make top 100 this time because it is a decagram green, decagram A
Oh,
green
there.
version. Look at that beautiful green there.
It's just so damn
I just want to have
green.
it unlocked. I don't care if we even use it for anything. I just want it unlocked, dude. That mm.
Just give it to me.
Look at that green. Look at that green right there. Oh yeah, green.
Oh
Uh,
Jesus, this is so fucking green. I can't
yes,
believe how
yeah.
green it is.
Green. Look at all this green, man. Green.
Oh, sweet Jesus, the green.
Green. Green.
Green.
uh, okay. Anyway. Okay. Meme done. Okay. Um. Yeah. So yeah. There's that. There's that.
Oh shit.
Let's go ahead and move into the thing. The
Okie dokie.
buffs and nerfs of
Use the words. We did a little bit.
yeah. We
There's something that we did.
okay. So I'm gonna go real quick over the um. Okay, sorry, I just read this comment. Why am I so addicted to this creature's janky melee with the Messala? That's funny.
it's so goofy.
I mean, the melee, like having 2 knockdowns with that is kind of
The
gross.
melee is so stupid, but it's so cool.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna go through the previous months real quick and kind of just mention what got changed and kind of how I feel. If you disagree or whatever, just
Imagine
feel free to
having
interrupt.
combo controller or like priority 2 on a Zoc.
Okay, I want the Messala now.
No, I'm talking about the Zoc because like you have even more
I know. I'm just like,
you have even
oh,
more reach if that would
oh,
happen. Like holy shit! Like
oh,
move,
oh.
the whoop.
But anyway, so real quick, just gonna run down these. If you disagree with anything or want to bring up something about one that I just passed by, go ahead. Feel free to interrupt. But I am gonna touch on these real quick. So yeah, in generals, last month, I think I said last week. Well, oops. Last month they had the Free Schneid. Check it out. It's cool now. It has maneuver armor, so you can get to your target, and you
Yep.
can actually hit things with its downswing.
Yeah.
A Freet. It was always good. I don't know why they really buffed it. So technically, even the level 1 got buffed.
Actually, for the Schneids in particular, that buff came in time for its cost ranges on clan matches, and we were definitely seeing a lot of those.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it actually had more follow up, and the no fun gun was getting to work on some of the bigger suits at that cost range. Like it just had a lot to do. So
That was the raid hunter.
definitely a visibly good change for that.
Oh, yeah. Big change. And the numbers definitely reflect that. They're huge improvements. Also, the funny thing is, I think the deaths went up just because people are now like, I got maneuver armor, go! But then the Ifrit, it was always good. So they buffed it. Now, of course, at the higher levels, could use some love, and looks like all the stats definitely improved. Gelgu Kaimo, Human Lightning, was nice, getting a lot of quality of life and being able to combo better with his things.
Definitely have seen
Missiles.
it a lot more on the field.
Yes.
Seen it a fair amount for practices in certain cost ranges too. So like, it's definitely getting more use. And one thing to keep in mind for a lot of these unit adjustments is that that's like the primary objective, is just to get them to be easier to use and thus be used more to get that percentage up just by raw like sortie.
I will say, I think the, it didn't really move too much, so it's still above average or average at least, so I think they're mission accomplished for them probably.
Yeah.
But it is one of those where you're more of a stun machine rather than damage. So your damage is still a little low under average, but everything else, win rate and rival win rate is definitely going up and looking better.
The downswing is definitely a lot less dangerous to you now, which has helped a lot. You're seeing people do it a lot more with more confidence, which is something very big that suit needed. So all the points that were necessary, like they hit all the good points with those adjustments, and that's kind of what was important there.
Then next we have the Gaza D, getting some benefits at level 1, which definitely helped it out. Looks like everything went up across the board. And then the main thing is all the damage went up on level 2. Now, technically, I guess you could say the damage went up on level 1 in a couple of cases with charge times and stuff like that. But a lot of the buffs were to level 2, and man, does it feel good at level 2 now. Just saying. And that's also in transform mode for all level 2 stuff as well. Everything went up, damage-wise. Every weapon on that thing. For level 2. Level 1 just got some, but yeah. Power GM. It's a thing, and apparently the buffs helped it. Cool. Jump and shoot
Kind of
GM.
weird. Jump shoot, man. Yeah.
Like
Take
literally
a
in the
double jump.
show, it just jumped. Every time it was shooting, it jumped, and when it finally exploded, it was not jumping.
Yep.
So
Should jump.
should jump.
Should jump, man.
Jump.
Why ain't you jump no more?
Shoot and jump GM. But yeah, then we got the Dom, which was pretty hype actually. Got some big buffs across the board, health and everything. Yeah, feels good. Dom feels actually pretty good now. Let's go. We can get in there. Time for a jet stream attack. We got the Peasant Dewage. Awkwardly not going up too much in damage, but everything else was thrusters and stuff like that. So and defense, so fair enough. So more survivable. Everything went up numbers wise. Damage is about the same or going down in some cases. Oddly enough, at 600 cost, it went way up. So I'm really confused there because they didn't really up the damage. Oh, it gained double dodge roll. Okay, at level 4. That's big.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. That is gross on that. Double dodge roll on the peasant at level what? Okay, there's some peasant people getting in
Yeah.
there at 600 cost. It's like,
Which is good. It's interesting that they're adding specific things like that to higher level suits. That's something that we saw early on in the Zuda, even though I think that was a lot more. That's still a lot more noticeable than some of the stuff they're doing now and
yeah.
more modern adjustments. Um, but it's nice, and I hope that becomes more common, as we always say.
Then we get into the raid stuff. Ramzagok got a bit of a buff. Still feels kind of meh, but overall the numbers went up, so it's still under average though. So probably gonna see something else done with that. But it does feel a little better, bit better than what it did. I got to try it out. Not bad. Still feels like it needs work though. On the water map, it's not too bad. Support stuff. Drossi Kai heavy. Yes. That is all. Yes. Just yes. The damage is insane on that thing now. Like, use the large Gatling gun. It hit like a truck now compared to what you did. Like, they literally upped its damage by 25% more. Literally. Straight up. Like, that is gross. Win rate, rival win rate, damage, and everything is just up across the board. Reload time for the Sturmfaust went up. It is good. Go play the Drossi Heavy Kai. It is so much fun. Use the big Gatling and delete people. Zeguein's Type 2 loadout. Mainly level 2. Actually, everything was on level 2 and then level 3. The level 3 damage went up across the board, and level 2 and level 3 got HP and leg shock absorber level up. That's funny. So it feels a bit better. Looks like level 3 actually had some good gains. Level 2 got a bit better win rate. Probably just because I think the suit's decently solid, and if people really were trying to play it, you can actually make that work pretty well. Um, I don't think the buffs they did for the level 2 really changed it all that much, honestly.
No.
It's just people just started practicing with it. Because it's not a bad suit, it just needs, I don't know, I don't know what it needs. But it needs something. Definitely can feel, it feels a little weird. I'm like, but anyway, now to the stuff this time. So, first thing up, we got the Jigen. Gained 5 melee damage, firepower on its missile launcher, shield went up by 50, and the reload went down to 10 seconds from 15. I didn't really have much of an issue with the Jigen, so I'm just kind of like, okay, cool, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
I think that's another one of those usage ones, just because the Jagan had a bunch of shit show up around it, and also its prototype version was just better than it. So
oh yeah.
touching up on it just made sense at that point, just to have it be more viable. Because the ultimate thing, and this is something that I bring up a lot when we talk about, oh, XYZ suit was kind of fine the way it was. It's weird that they changed it, or didn't change something else as opposed to what they did. It's like, this is still a gotcha game.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of these that are more common drops, or that they give away a lot more comparatively. So like, working on some of those, and also working on things that are still in the gotcha list, even if they're not the main banner, is still important. So that when people do have these and have to use them or make do with them, in between getting like the actual big meta bullshit, um, they're not at too bad of a disadvantage, or maybe not at a disadvantage at all after the adjustments are done.
Yeah. That makes sense. Like, I'm curious to see. I know, I think, is, wait, is the Chicken the one Aoshi's using right now? Pretty sure that's it.
He's using the other one. He's using the Jetta a lot.
Oh, he's using the Jetta. Okay, yeah. I know he was using the
Um,
Jigen though at 500,
Asian likes using
I thought.
the Jigen still.
Yeah, I mean, 5% damage is nothing really to laugh at. Like, when it's decreased on something that's already broken, like the Mark II, who had crazy melee damage, it's a slap on the wrist. But 5% increase in damage is actually pretty good overall. See. Okay, that's just kind of a funny note, real quick. The Messala, you can, like, in Deserted City, you know how you're standing next to the wall, and you can, like, um, wait a minute. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. There was a comment in chat said muted, but, anyway. Like, oh no, things are breaking. But yeah, you can actually shoot up at the wall and hit the base without having to jump into the base area. That's kind of funny because the cannons are so high. But anyway, the next one was kind of interesting to see, and the downswing is now gross, and I need to go look that up. The EZ8 got a buff, 1,500 health, 4% increased melee resist, going to 14 from 14 to 18. Fast movement speed went up to 180 from 175. Rotation went up to 7, so turn speed. And quick boost level 1 at level 3, and quick boost level 2 at level 4. And that also goes to level 5. And then the downswing, Aina got buffed.
Yep. Which is interesting. Once again, Asian being the guy that tends to do our oddball suits actually likes using high end just for the Aina and just doing goofy shit with it.
Yeah, I found him in my
And
game.
I have seen it on occasion in other um pub matches, so it's definitely getting used, and I think they're like, oh shit, people are actually using it. We should probably buff it. Like, oh god,
But yeah, he
let us
queued into
catch
me
up.
and did that and hit me for like 4k ish. And I was a
Yeah,
support. I was like, what?
dummy thick,
What? So yeah, let me look at
dumb
this.
damage.
It says the downswing is now 150. I don't believe it's just 150. That's got to be more than that. No way, it's just 150.
Probably.
Like maybe this hasn't been updated yet. There's no way that's just 150, dude. Like that's got to be way more.
Hitting the
Because
old extra dot here.
yeah, I'm guessing they just didn't update it yet. Hmm. I mean, 2,000. No, yeah, it's definitely more than that because I got hit for like 4k. It was pretty easy on that one. But yeah.
Oh,
Next,
oh,
the raid Data Plus
oh.
A1. This thing feels good now. It got the shield thing, and I like playing the
Yeah,
Zeta
I just got
Plus.
hassled by one trying to run a Hama Hama in 600, and it was rough.
Yeah, the thing is now you don't have the shield break thing to help defend yourself, so that's kind of. I mean, again, we were like, well, raid should get it just because there's so many generals that
Yeah,
can pop your
like
shield in
that's
one
something that we
shot.
talked about a long time ago. Once the what was it? Was it Space Type had it?
Yeah, like as soon as it got put. Well, actually, no, we were talking about just putting it on the full armor forever ago, and then finally they did.
Yeah,
But before it even was a skill that actually existed. Because we were like, this is nonsense. Like the Goof flight type gets in the air and just gets shot by a machine gun bullet, and its shield explodes and you fall to the ground.
like
Yeah, so like,
not my shield.
it's one of those things that's like, it's nice for raids as a support main. I'm like,
Ugh.
no.
It's like I'm happy for you as you're like strangled into the ground. Like, oh god. Ugh.
But let's see. Um, what do we got for melee correction on the A1? Because its downswing got buffed. Why?
It's unfortunate.
I mean, it's actually pretty cool that it did, I guess, a little bit. I'm actually kind of like, it's cool. But I was digging it
Yeah,
while
I'm happy
playing
for
it,
you.
but at the same time, I'm a support guy, man. What's with all these raid buffs? So
Yeah,
yeah,
this is definitely a very raid heavy buff list.
160 is what it says magnified. I could kind of believe that because that would mean just on the level 1, that's about that's like 7-8k downswing damage. What? If they actually count as times 2, that would be 5,400 just on his downswing, plus a 160 modifier if that's all you do is just a downswing. Oh my. That's oof. Dude, that's like another 2,400 plus another that 42, 80, 84 extra on that. So
Mm.
2,484 on top of the 5,400. Ouch. Plus any melee modifier. Dude. Dude, that's like possible 9k downswing on a support with no melee res.
Yeah, that's pretty
Or
stinky.
10. Oh my gosh. Ooh. I know I hit the Messala with it for like 5k on my downswing, and I was like, what? Does this thing have no melee resist? What was this? I just clapped it.
This is fucking wet, man.
But
Jesus.
what really made this thing go from like, yeah, pretty cool, I guess, to dude, this could actually be more of a top tier suit, and maybe is now. Like, I'm guessing, I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna say not only does the damage equal, but we're gonna have rival win rate go up, maybe even past it, especially at 600, and maybe even win rate go up past average by a decent bit because now you have less rigidity time when you use your hip cannons, and they stun in 2 shots for 100%. That's kind of gross. Let's see if they actually have the full percentage here. Yeah, now they're 30% times 2. It's 60% per shot. It's 180%. You could stun up to
Yeah,
damage
it's pretty
control
nasty.
2 if you hit all 3. Damage control 2 with all 3. Holy
Roger.
crap. Can't stun the um thing though. The new suit, Messala. But the
I think that's specifically why the Masala is kitted the way that it is, though.
yeah,
And that might become more common for certain suits going forward, especially with a lot of these more like aggressive suits getting buffed and shit.
I'm looking to see what it. Okay, it has Vulcans, so they do 2%. So you can another 10 Vulcans and you stun it after you hit it with all 3 hip lasers, and then you can stun it normally with your main weapon. There we go. There's the strat. Or just transform and shoot at it. That
And
works
that
too.
too.
Because those do 35, and I think you can get. Oh, you can get 5 shots. Well, not quite. So, oh, but the beam cannon on it is. Oh, that's no, that's just yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah, A1 steak sauce feels pretty good. Oh, and when you transform out of it, it also has the skill in transform mode, so you don't get knocked out for its shield breaking. That also irked me. And then the heat rate went from 30% to 25% when getting out, so not bad. Yeah, you can fly for days and still have some boost when you jump out. Feels pretty good. Let's see. Then we have this one was surprising. The Shard Dija getting a buff. Kind of terrifying.
I think that's another usage one in particular. A lot of raids are getting hassled at that cost range. And it was kind of just a big, like, damage sponge, essentially. So now it has a lot of things that are strong on it, right? But it
Yeah.
was having a hard time chaining into some of them. So now the time between all those has been shortened.
I will say the one that kind of got me like, whoa, that's crazy, is the beam rifle because you can just pew 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 pew, and then like when you're at your last bullet, you full charge and knee stun somebody, and that's a lot of damage, and then a lot of utility in that knee stun, and getting that back in 20 seconds rather than 25 is pretty big. So yeah. Um, let's see. Then we got a cooldown for its uh double Sturmfaust, which is gross damage, like crazy gross. Down to 8 seconds rather than 10. So that's terrifying. And it reloads in 30 rather than 35. And also you can switch to it faster and blow somebody up faster. I will say though, it is kind of surprising that the win rate, the rival win rate, and the damage dealt was pretty low actually. Turns out it had better loss rate though, so it survived. um, then we have the Vertex getting a buff as well, which also surprised me. But I guess there was the gimmick. You kind of typed that in chat. I mean, what are your thoughts on the Vertex?
Vertex. It's a little weird because on top of the maneuverability and some of the tweaks to the skills, they also just gave it more output on its melee. And I feel like the output was fine. So I'm
Well,
not
that's level
super
2,
sure.
so I can see it on level 2 a little
Yeah,
bit.
like it's scaling up a little bit, I guess, just to keep up with some of the other stuff or what it's gonna have to fight. But I don't know. Like the turning, maybe people who liked it initially will try to use it more now just because they have more of an excuse, right? Like it's a bit
Yeah.
easier to do. It's a bit more forgiving. It'll be interesting to see if people implement it more than they were before because of that. But I think the double roll kind of supersedes that,
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot
and
more
is
people
also a
doing
really
that.
good adjustment. So like, I feel like people are just gonna conserve it for the roll more, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
Like it's still a good way to do it. Now you just have another escape while you're trying to do your combos, which high bunga suits need that. The Sazabi sometimes gets away with it, but there have been a lot of cops that I've been on where just having a bunch of new Gundams rocking back and forth and shooting you in the asshole tends to, deter you a lot. Put
Please
it
no.
that way. So it'll be interesting. It's another one of those suits where having more of those options is nice, especially when we're still kind of in the lurch for another raid suit. Like a lot of people, when the Messala drops, it's like, man, it's another general. Fuck.
Yeah, like where's the
Hell.
raids at, man? Like, I mean, I'll take supports any day, but it's been a
Need some
while.
balance here.
Raid waiting room, yeah. Emblem. That's what they're just waiting for Emblem to
Now
come
she
back.
finally got the GO4 BST. Fuck you, game. Where's my Hazel?
Oh. Um. Yeah, for real. Where's the Hazels at? Come on. We need
Yeah, if you're gonna
AOZ
do
up
all
in
this
here.
weird, because that's the other thing too, right? Like we made all this progress. We went into Shard's counterattack. We're probably on the verge of doing CCA like MV, and we had like one or two Moon Gundam entries, and we double back super hard to just Zeta, not even double Zeta, which I think has a couple candidate suits still left,
Yeah.
but Zeta and the Messala, which is like the biggest problem suit, right? Like the next one is the Bug. I forget what the hell it's specifically called, but that's the other big one that they skipped out on. So we'll see if they tackle this after they make the proper adjustments to the Messala, because it still needs, like I said several times already, like it still needs to get touched on in terms of size, and the other suit is going to be in the same boat. If anything, it's going to be as tall, if not taller, even without having a crazy backpack.
Yep.
Um, just because of its standing height. But yeah, AOZ getting skipped when we're doing Zeta MSV specifically, which is like an offshoot of that, and like just a different like storyline or just thing that should technically still encompass some of that is really weird. So we'll just have to see what happens, I guess.
Apparently they added more music, background music.
Did they?
Apparently, that's what Dragoon's saying from Lost to War.
Wow, I wouldn't know because I don't play with the music on.
Yeah. I know they've added some randomly,
Also,
so it might have
did
been
they
an
put that
anniversary
in the
thing.
note? I'm surprised they didn't put that in the notes then, because When they did it the first time, when they first bolstered that, they'd actually mentioned it. They were actually a little proud of themselves for getting some more shit in there.
Hmm.
Not saying that it's not true.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just
no,
saying
no.
like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
interesting that they wouldn't highlight it.
yeah. I just well, again, like we got a new team, sort of. I guess I don't
Yeah.
know. Like that. That
That's
is
another
still
weird
weird.
thing. Like I want it'll be interesting if they do another anniversary and if they do the live stream to see who's physically present and like what they say in terms of their involvement and stuff.
Right.
That's one thing that I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong about that. If someone has it on Twitter, not on Twitter, but on YouTube, like those interviews or those streams translated,
Yeah.
um that would be really cool just to be able to listen in on those and like understand more.
For sure. Um. Anyway. Back to the vertex though. We got damage gained during the skill when you're doing the turn. It got lowered to 30%, so you take 30% more damage rather than 50%.
Mm.
So that's a pretty big deal. And then of course you said thruster gauge. So yeah, hopefully, pretty feels better. I know I'm going to be using it more, and I mean just the dodge roll just is more natural. So I'm probably going to be utilizing it more than the turn really.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those things they realized, well, maybe this gimmick might not be the thing it needs, so hopefully they figured that out with the
Mm.
Rictija, I'm just saying. But anyway,
It's nice that they still buffed it just for the
request.
people who were using it.
Yeah,
And then they were like, "Oh, if you don't want to use that, then we're just going to give you the other option that it probably should have anyway,
yeah.
which is the double roll."
You know, they could learn from this and do buffs to the Rictija request. But anyway,
No, I'm just saying.
I mean, I would also take a heavy arms Doga buff too, but I can see that one not getting one. Fair enough. But anyway, then
Look at Beat
assume
is so strong. He's a heavy stagger.
Um, but the GM Guard Custom is next with turn speed going up by 3 to 48. They increase the accumulation stagger of the beam spray gun. Let's go. And the dagger went up by 100 damage, and the cooldown for the swings went to 2 seconds from 2.5. And I'll go
So
ahead and.
my understanding for the beam gun itself is that it's not a 1-2.
Right.
It's better. You still have to dock a little bit with your shoulder cannons, but the shoulder cannons were already kind of gross for the accumulation anyway. So like
Yeah.
literally you can just like tap a little bit and then just do that and you're in there. So you're supposed to be mixing that in more as it is. And it's interesting because it means that it's actually more viable at ranged. Like you don't have to really get in with the dagger even as much as you did in the beginning, which is nice. Because I know a lot of people were switching to the bullpup specifically so that they could just heavy arms people to death. Essentially, it's just all the bullets, all of the DACA. But
The
now you have this beam that can actually reach further and has a faster travel time and output. So
the wiki does say 50% though. That's interesting. I'm gonna go try it real quick in a game. Because the wiki is saying it does stun in 2 hits.
because there shouldn't be a lot, if anything, at its cost range that shrugs off that
That's weird.
accumulation. Unless it's maybe the firing rate is just off enough that some of that dissipates and it doesn't tend to do it as easily.
Yeah, let's see how many Vulcans it should take, or the cannons it should take. They're 10% each, so it should be 5. So let's see here. Let's try that. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's 50%. If those are 10%, it's 50%. That's weird. But yeah, literally 5. That's kind of crazy. Let's see what the shield does. The shield takes a bit more, but you could actually do that as
Let's say
a.
the shield's more for output
Yeah,
compared to the shoulders.
they're 4%, but still, that's not bad. So what, 15 shots or something like that, and you're
Yeah.
good? But yeah, the shoulder ones now, if you shoot the beam at somebody, you just shoulder like 5 bullets, go ham on somebody. That's kind of cool. I can dig that. But yeah, so I guess it's just that 2.5 reload time. You're just hitting that. Or wait, no, what's the in between shot time? Time. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, 2.5 seconds. Yeah, 2.5. Like at 3 is when it resets, I believe. So like by the time, I mean, I guess you could you're right on somebody. So it just the reload's just enough, or the ready up time, I should say, is just enough. So okay. Let's. Oh, there we go. I got a stun. You can
E
do it, but you have to shotgun them essentially. Like I put the gun inside the suit. Yeah, literally, you're missing
just
the
so there's like
stun.
no travel time at all
Yeah,
in
you're missing
between
the
them.
stun from for 0.5 seconds. Literally, how far you're missing it by. That's funny.
That's wild.
Okay.
So if you're advancing on somebody, you'll have a higher chance just because the travel time will be cut down.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if this has any practical implementation here when this thing respawns, and then I'll show it on stream real quick. But until then, it's a solid suit. GM Guard Custom feels great. I don't know why. It's another one that really doesn't need too much of a buff, but hey, if they're gonna do it, I'm gonna play it. Let's go. G-Line Light Armor got a nice list of buffs. Speed going from 130 to 135. Fast movement went from 215 to 220. It got the Shield Break Mastery, which is kind of cool and terrifying as a support. Maneuver Armor 1 to
Oh, I like
2 at level
stood up
1.
into it.
I don't know why it didn't have Maneuver Armor 1, but then they gave it Assault Booster level 2 at level 3 and level 3 at level 4. It also gained thruster output increase, which I think is that enhanced thruster, whatever it is, where you, yeah, at 3 all the way up to 5. And then it gained 70 thruster instead of 65 at level 3 and up. Yeah, what do you think of the G-Line Light? I think it was still solid, and just looking at the stats, it didn't really need much. So, I mean, most of this was just quality of life.
I
So,
feel like it needs more, if anything, because there's a reason it doesn't get used as much as like other G lines. G line in general, it's kind of like down upon. And the assault, I think, was kind of the saving grace towards the end of like that rollout. There's definitely a lot of people that still use the full after its buffs and stuff, which is pretty nice, just because it has some pretty nasty melee and shit going on for it. But I think a lot of people were saying, what was the equivalent that they were saying for the light armor? Or it's just like a smaller, like lower cost version of like a different suit that does a lot of missile blast, and I guess like the Bawu. Although I would argue that it doesn't have the same utility as one, just for like the raw amount of weapons that it has.
there you go. I got the stun on the screen that time. It didn't work. I literally had it inside of it and it didn't work once.
Yikes.
Funny. But I did the advancing thing, so I went from like, a good normal bazooka distance where you would stun somebody, then I just walked at it. Or you repeated it again essentially. Like it literally has to be at the point of where the bullet spawns essentially. That's hilarious. Okay. But yeah, the stagger accumulation on the missiles though I think is a pretty big deal.
Mm. This
It
means you can do it more
Yeah.
freely when you're advancing or like boosting at somebody.
And to answer what the percentage of that is, let's see here. Starts at 400, right?
Mm.
We got survey says missile launcher unit 25% 4 hits. Whoa, he's got 8 missiles. That's actually kind of cool. That's pretty big. Because I think it was 6 before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can shoot these while boosting at people. That's actually kind of gross. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty nice. And then the next one, the one I'm hyped about, the beam bazooka. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. It gained assault booster 1 to 2. That's cool, I guess. And then 1 to 3 at level 3 and up. And then it gained thruster output increase from 3, or it gained it at level 3 and it gained it at level 4. Which, by the way, boosting around in the air. You want to talk about boosting around the air? Go around the air for days, especially at level 3, man. Level 4, I don't even want to know how long you can boost in the air. You could probably fly around the map boosting in the air.
Gusting. Ew, boosting in the air.
Um,
Jesus.
and then here's the crazy part though. Like, not only did they buff the damage of its bazooka to gross, now it heavy stun at full charge.
What the fuck?
So yes, you do have like an 8-second charge, but it'll chunk, pierce, and heavy stun. What? And then they buffed its left, right, and downswing again. So I'm just out here, hitting generals for like 4K with a full charge. Oh, look, you're taking a knee. Smack, 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 smack. And, I've done like 10,000 damage to a general. Like, it feels like the old version of it when I'm attacking a support back in the day. Like, I can't finish my play, but man, can I do some damage? Now that's a general or a raid, I just destroy, dude. Like, Beam Bazooka feeling good, but also if you look at its stats down at the bottom, like, man, how the mighty have fallen, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, those
Not
are
doing
some
that the same
low
kind of output
numbers.
it used to.
So yeah, feels bad with the numbers, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Might make a little bit of a comeback though. You never know.
I mean, right now I'm loving it, but I also played it a lot, so I'm one of those that's like, yeah, dude, this is amazing.
You just made this shit better for me. Thank you.
Now
You
here's the
fool.
confusing one, because I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I thought it was still good, but maybe. Uh, gun cannon detect. What? Like what? Why did this need a buff? But anyway, they got.
Okay, so this is one that I actually feel mostly because I'm very bad at heat management. I know a lot of people are like, if you just manage your heat, you can always have your shots ready. But the acknowledgement that they did for the adjustment explanation is that people had a lot of damage and it was comboing very well, but they couldn't do it as much. And I think this comes into play when we're talking about like sheer scale and like speed of suits and the sort of things that you have to keep up with where you're constantly having things in front of you that you have to respond to either to defend yourself or as a support trying to keep up and keep your team like moving. So in that regard, I think those are very welcome changes just so that the it's able to constantly cycle a bit better. And in that regard, I am glad that they messed with it because the only other option that you had outside of your big stunning stuff would be to either Vulcan or to like shoulder shit, unless you're very cheeky and like giving people the boot. But you can't always like rely on shit like that. So definitely just good quality of life things, and especially as we have a lot more power creep and other things going on in the future. Even if it doesn't seem like it needs a buff, I hope that they do adjustments like that and continue to do stuff like that going forward.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, it's yeah, like with the mass production Cubulate, it I think those are the same percentages, um, maybe, but it
Mm.
it's one of those things you can definitely rock back and forth. My thing is it. I don't think it really saved it from overheating from doing its base combo. Maybe it did, but I think I only did it once, and I then got eined by Asian um in a rated game. But yeah, so I was doing the combo backwards the entire game. I was like, "What's wrong? What am I doing wrong?" And then I was like, "Oh wait." Literally like in the last minute. Wait a minute. Oops.
Like,
I was doing it
uh-huh.
backwards. But yeah, that the 10-second reload on the grenade definitely feels good. Beam cannon getting I got that down to about 10 seconds or 12 seconds or something too. So that's kind of cool. But I'm gonna probably take off the heat ray parts because if you wanted to do the full combo, you had to overheat the main beam rifle anyway.
Yeah.
So there is that. But overall,
Now you
pretty.
don't gotta worry about it as much. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's
I
nice.
mean,
Do it again.
this is one of those things that's like, oh, I can just do this now. No big deal. Okay. So I'm gonna be in there with that suit now. I don't know. That's big. Um, but looking at the stats though, I am surprised at its win rate and stuff. So fair enough, I guess. I guess it got power creep. I mean, it was our striker Kai that suit got power creep too. So fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Because Detector was a pretty strong contender for its cost ranges clan matches for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I would argue that like other things that dropped around there that probably would hassle it more. And spacing wise, just having more shit to barf down range to keep people at bay is definitely gonna help that suit. So
Also, on a quick side note, they went full on 200% downswing damage for the beam bazooka.
oh yeah, that's what's up.
And
That's the
also,
good shit.
the decay is up too, which is wow. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Ooh. Okay. Anyway, and finally, the last support that got a buff was the Zero Shiki Type 2 Amuro Ray Edition. What a surprise! It's about time.
Shock and amazement.
And feels pretty good. I will say the best part. Okay, well, it got 1,000 health, and then on its beam rifle, it got 50 damage at both levels. Feels pretty good. It already did decent damage with that. It had decent stun value, so feels good. The thing that really feels good is the switching time to the beam cannon and the reduced rigidity time after using it. It was like pew 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 swap, and then I shot and then was moving. It felt like it felt like I didn't even stop moving through the air when I shot that thing.
Nice.
It was smooth. Now maybe with your frames you might be able to see it more, but for me, there was like 2 more frames in there. Maybe it was holding me for, but I couldn't tell, like, because it doesn't exist. So yeah,
It's
it,
not real.
those frames don't exist, so it just kept moving, man. But yeah, it feels smooth. Like that was so. I might play the suit more. It's kind of cool. It does still feel a little weak, and if anything gets on it, you just die. But it can fly. You just be like, you can't fly.
You can fly. You just
But
start boosting in the air and then hit him with your fucking cannon. Oh god.
but yeah, the 6% lower rival win rate and the win rate and the damage dealt, and the more deaths than average. None of that surprises me at all.
All right.
Like, this suit is a big feels bad. So I still think it needs something else, but definitely a good start. So they can quality of life it like that all the way up. Let's go. And also, it might just feel a whole lot better now, and I'm just missing a lot of my shots because I missed a lot of shots last night. So fair enough, but it might be actually really solid now with it, and I'm just being bad.
Cool.
But yeah, didn't surprise me at all that this needed a buff. But yeah, anything else you want to bring up on the buffs and nerfs?
No.
Okay.
Definitely raid heavy. Nice to see that they're doing some stuff for suits that aren't necessarily like at a severe disadvantage, but it's just on top of the gotcha aspect, it's just the idea that we just have so many suits. We relentlessly had suits be released every week for like 3, almost 4 years. We're on year 4, so kind of makes sense that some of these just need some retroactive
Oh yeah.
touch-ups.
Anyway, the new suit speculation. What we got? If
I
it's
have
not a
no idea.
raid, I'm actually gonna be mad.
If what
600
is the name
raid.
of that other Zeta suit that we're still waiting for?
Bound Duck.
Bound Duck. Bound Duck
It has a
needs to
claw.
just.
It has a claw, boy. Let's go. You know what? I, I wanted to.
That'll be the instant knockdown or heavy stagger raid. That has like
Yes.
a. I think it also has a saber. so it can just do striker shit.
I want it to be. I really want it to be a support, but I'll take it as a raid with that claw. And with since they haven't gotten something, and they've given us a lot. Yeah, let's make a raid. Let's do
My
that.
thing is if they're gonna do that suit, I want them to M-bon it a little bit and just let it do like crazy spread hand laser shit and all this other bullshit.
Yeah, give it. I mean, they pretty much got it with the Sazabi. Let it
They
do
gotta get a
that.
little they
Eh?
gotta get a little creative here.
A raid Sazabi essentially with its guns. Big shotgun. Yeah. I mean, it can be inconsistent.
Oh,
I mean, like once you get, I mean, you can make it consistent by getting close enough. That's my argument with the Sazabi. So I believe they can do that. I'll take that. It's gonna be terrifying, but at least they can defend against generals at that point.
it's gonna make me shit my pants, but at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely terrified. We're like, no, not the claw, man, not the claw, please.
But at least it won't have to get nerfed at, like month 1.
Yeah, right. Don't take my
or week.
shoes. Don't claw my shoes. But anything else for Ray?
Mm, probably just some MSP bullshit. It all depends on. See, that's the thing. So they brought it back to Zeta to unleash this monstrosity, and like, oh yeah, big suits. We
Oh,
figured it out, right? Like this is the big one. This is the one that people were talking about in Hem and Han about. Boundock is definitely up there in terms of scale as well. But it also doesn't have fuck off huge backbinders. It's literally all in its ass, and the fact that it's just tall. The mobile armor or the transformation form is kind of weird, but they can still just suck it up and just do it. They've done it for other things. The EXS, looking at you, is just a flying brick. So I think that's just what I want. I want them to just get it over with. Because if they can do that, then we're talking like a lot of the weird variants in like rideable suits and shit going on in AOZ really shouldn't be a problem at that point.
yeah. Actually, yeah. We could get the what is it called? The Hazel. Is that just the Hazel custom, or the one with the? We get some of the big stuff then, because these little binders on the Messala, yeah, are pretty much the same size, ish. So
Actually, really want to see the Messala next to like the Xeon. The speed spacesuits have always been kind of weird and unwieldy, like on purpose. Like the Palace Athene being on ground is pretty funny. It's a little bit more fitting in space, but it also makes it a bigger target.
also, by the way, I couldn't help but take a picture because I saw this. Oh, that's coming through. Close.
I can kind of see it. What is that?
My doggo. Here we go. I can do it this
Oh,
way.
the dog.
Focus. There we go. There it is.
No,
Look at me like, come on, man.
it's time.
It's time. Come on.
Yeah, I mean we're almost at 4 hours. Like,
But whoops. Camera focus. I'm over here.
oh no.
Oh no. I lost my focus. Oh, there we go. But anyway, but yeah, any other things that we could come up with? Do we want to do? I mean, again, I'm with the whole team change and Kobe being off or doing something else and just playing the game now.
Yeah, I mean I want some more transparency on that.
Yeah,
Mostly just something maybe a little less angry and like an
yeah,
actual discussion about it. Because I'm sure there's some other details outside of the scope of like how it concerns him, that have also changed. Because stuff like that's important. I
yeah.
feel like I'm a little curious to see if they talked about it more in the official forum channels on the JP side, because they do have their own like things in there separate from like Twitter or Facebook or anything like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool if they collaborated there. That'd be nice. But yeah, I think I mean, other than just rehashing what we already said earlier when we kind of talked about it, if they, went to like a next two or started working on something else, because surely he's going to a different project now, right?
Right.
So that's like, what are they
Unless
doing?
he's because he didn't say he was like full on like retiring from like development or anything.
Hmm. So, because he said this has happened before with GBO, so it's like, oh, but you're doing it again? Again? And when it's about to end? Is that what you're saying? You know, blink twice if you're saying we're
Blue ties if the game is on its last leg.
we're getting
It's a little.
another one.
That's one of those things though too. Like part of me does want the transparency, but like too much can also just like taper the uh the following for the game itself, which that can be bad in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah, that would be something they just
Um,
are like, surprise, and that would be better for the game, really, as far as the story.
not every game can be Gundam Online where it's just supported and inexplicably online forever. So like it's a little inevitable, but it's also yeah, we'll just have to see what kind of tone they take with it going forward.
Any other raids at 600 would you guess?
Uh
Trying to think what we got for first counterattack. What we have for maybe Moon. I wonder if we'll get another Moon
if
thing.
we're doing anything for sure as counterattack, it's gotta be MSV at that point.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Psycho Doga would be
Psycho
nice.
Doga.
Maybe just
Yeah,
lower cost bullshit.
mass production new maybe.
Yeah.
Seeing that posted.
That probably end up like it's a little unfortunate, but that probably end up being in general.
Uh, yeah, I don't know what we got for
It's slowly but surely becoming. Remember how we were saying that like, oh, what's who's gonna take the L for the support spot? Now it's starting to be the raid that does that
right?
all
What is
over
this?
again.
I mean, one thing I really want to see though coming up is a 700 native support, please.
Yeah, we need more native 700 shit at this point. Because like it's nice that they're doing these adjustments for some of the other lower suits, and it's cool that they've been pretty consistent in like making sure the 650 suits are comparable. But it's just 650 and friends at this point, or like new Gundam and friends. Because like Sansabi even isn't used as much as it used to be when it first initially dropped. Because the new is just a safer pick
Yeah. I mean, I'm
for
still on Team
everything,
Suzabi,
pretty much.
but I like
Yeah,
the
my
damage,
Angus Bungus is too strong in
and
that suit.
I will say that the breach of that beam saber, nobody really expects it.
Mm.
It's just got huge reach, man. Long range melee, easy game. But yeah, yeah. If you don't have anything else, that's about all I got.
Yep.
So, want to go ahead and do some shout outs. If I can find the thing to move here. Where's my arrow at? There we go.
All right. So Gustav the 13th, Gustav underscore X triple I on Twitch. Out here streaming dailies for GBO2 every day. Currently, our secondary game is Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. Eventually, we'll either be leading into um, Judgment, or if it takes us long enough, we'll be going into SRW 30. Those are our next big ones for the channel. Besides that, just trying to keep up with clan stuff. Funnily enough, clan match practice is probably over. I gotta dodge that bullet for today, but evening matches 4v4 basic 600 on I think resource satellite, but it's in space specifically. So look forward to seeing those shenanigans in the evening. Which means for us midnight on Saturday, more or less. I don't really count it as the next day because that doesn't make sense because I'm not asleep. So fuck off. But But besides that, just trying to keep up with all the other social media stuff, putting clips and things on like TikTok or YouTube and all that good shit. Probably put the links in below and all that. So hopefully I'll see you guys around the category, and be sure to follow us and see what's going to be going on next.
Okay. So yeah, as usual, stuff will be down in the description below. And then we'll be doing another one of these on the next buff and nerf date, which should be the 28th. There we go. Should be the actual day. 9 p.m. 28th. We might have a guest somewhere in between though, so stay tuned for that.
Ooh.
But yeah, we'll be posting and making sure people know. Stay tuned. Listen to Discord and whatnot. But anyway, guys, I'm EG Magnum. Stream on Twitch, got a Twitter, Discord, YouTube channel. Yeah, got too many games, and by too many games, literally, I kind of just typed out a list because I was like, actually, what all do I have? And one that I missed earlier was MechWarrior 5. Got a lot done on that, and having improved graphics and everything. Feels good. Finally got my Atlas. We finally in there. I got my big boy. Got my tanky big boy that has all the big everything. It's good. It's one of the earlier variants that are. It's kind of, I think, the actual worst variant, but it's still an Atlas, so it's really insanely good. So yeah. But yeah, got that coming up. More MechWarrior 5 at some point. I don't know when, because New World has taken over. It's a whole new world to adventure. But anyway, and then Tarkov. Even though New World was being a pain for logging in yesterday, Tarkov actually ended up being really fun. Had some good runs, got some loot, got a lot of quests done. Getting close to 30. Get my Bitcoin farm up in that game. Let's go. And yeah, that game has also got me addicted. So a lot of Tarkov and New World with Gundam dailies, probably some D2 at some point again. I need to get on that grind at some point. Luckily, it's one of those things that's not really going anywhere, hopefully, unless Blizzard dies or something.
No.
I need to do the Genshin story and then get back into Pokemon Unite. And yes, I am playing Pokemon Unite, getting the dailies done so that I can upgrade things. Because at the same time, going from items that are crap to upgrading them to almost full was a night and day difference at how much damage I do. Like with Venusaur, I'm a lawnmower nuke, as somebody put it in chat. I literally just ran at them, and I just see the entire team get hit by my ult, and then by the time my ult ends, I just hit one and heal myself to full, and if anybody's still standing, they're dead at that point. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a thing. Don't run in diagonals from wherever he's firing his ult at, because they spread off extra C's that do pretty much the same damage. So yeah. Yeah. Venusaur, crazy. I also like my Charizard jungle. I just love jungling right now. And Gardevoir jungle. Gardevoir jungle OP. Because Gardevoir does nothing for the first, like, if you're in lane, it's like 4 minutes before you do anything. But when you do, you can literally one-shot an entire enemy team. Because that ult plus Psyshock is gross. Or even the bomb. You throw the bomb, you throw your ult, they get sucked into the bomb, and then they all die. No big deal. But yeah. Anyway, that'll be it for this one, guys. Let us know in the comments down below what you thought about what we talked about and everything in this episode. But anyway, that'll be it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Peace.
Later.